One. We are live.
Good morning. On behalf of IMT Hyderabad, let me extend a warm welcome to all the participants in the session. Congratulations to all the participants for joining the session on a Sunday morning. This reflects the fact that you are all concerned about your careers and looking forward to make an informed decision. IMT Connect series has helped aspirants to know about the IMT institutions, the academic processes, the pedagogical interventions, corporate connect, student life on campus, and alumni connect. As part of the IMT Connect series, we have conducted sessions on revamped admission process, facilitated alumni interactions, shared corporate engagement activities, and discussion with the existing students on campus. An ideal way to end the IMT Connect series before the admission process is to hear from the director of the institution. I have the pleasure of inviting the PGP chair, Professor Vinay Kalakbandi, who is going to moderate the interaction with the director. Professor Vinay Kumar Kalakbandi is an associate professor in the operations management area at IMT Hyderabad. He holds a fellow of Indian Institute of Management Bangalore and a Master of Technology from the Indian Institute of Technology Bombay. Prior to IMT Hyderabad, he was associated with IIM Raipur. Let me invite the director of IMT Hyderabad, Professor Sriharsha Reddy, to share his views on campus vision, campus initiatives, industry academic partnerships, thoughts on management education, and message to new aspirants in interaction with Professor Vinay. Dr. K. Sriharsha Reddy, Director and Professor, Finance and Accounting, is a passionate academic leader for last 2 decades, facilitating quality learning environment for various stakeholders of management education in India. Dr. Reddy is alumnus of LSE London and attended short-term programs at Harvard Business School, ISB, and IMC. Now I request Professor Vinay to take the introduction forward.
Very good morning. Anirban, can you confirm if I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
All right. Very good morning, everybody who have decided to join this very lively session early in the morning on Sunday. My most welcome to Professor Sriharsha Reddy to this session. As a part of this entire admissions campaign, we've been putting a lot of content out there in terms of various aspects of the IMT system, IMT institutes. And as Anirban was saying, this is one of the last content that we're putting out there. All of this to help you all make a very good decision about your future. And in this session, I'm going to interact with my captain. The captain who is sailing this, who is kind of directing this ship of IMT Hyderabad. This will be followed by sessions with the directors of Nagpur and Ghaziabad. So, very good morning, sir.
Very good morning, Professor Vinay.
Yeah, so it's so nice to speak to you. And I know that we have already agreed on a list of questions, but I'm going to ask you questions apart from the list also, right? So some more, I have some unscripted questions also. I mean, just to put you on the spot now that I have got you there. So yeah, so I think let's try and let's begin with the big dream, the big idea, the vision of the institute, and where do you see the institute? So the typical interview question: where do you see yourself 10 years, 20 years from now? So, sir, I would I would like your response on that.
Sure. Thank you, Professor Vinay. Am I loud and clear?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
as always.
So before answering to your question, let me appreciate the efforts of admissions team for building up the initiatives or knowing about IMT group campus-wise. I must appreciate the efforts, the way they are trying to give all the information which prospective students require, right from alumni to students to practitioners to placements perspective to PGP chair perspective. So, at the end, admissions team has put me after all the information they have got. Now I need to talk something different. to a fully informed audience. So it's a challenging task, but then I think we'll be able to sail through the next 40, 50 minutes. So I understand initially we will have a conversation, and then I'll be more happy to take questions coming from the students, what they would like to know. So thank you, Anirban, for a generous introduction. So see, this VME exercise of our institute, we do this continuously once in 3 years, only to be contemporary and relevant to the changing needs of the environment in which we are operating. So I think 2 years back, we did this exercise of mission of IMT Hyderabad, and after due deliberations with several stakeholders like recruiters, alumni, current students, immediate passed out students, then the faculty members, board of governors. So interacting with all these stakeholders, some of the government representatives, regulators, we consciously took up this vision of to be leading management institute that nurtures socially responsible business leaders. So very consciously, we picked up each word in this vision, and that is what get percolated to all the executive team in the institute and all those advisory teams which are beyond the institute, to make difference to the students who pursue programs offered at IMT Hyderabad. To be a leading management institute, that is what we want to be, but we do not want to be any leading management institute. We want to be leading management institute that nurtures not any business leaders, but socially responsible business leaders. And this is what is being echoed across the globe. Now, one of the prominent B schools across the globe, which everyone aspires to get into, is Harvard. And when there was a collapse of Lehman Brothers, there were 230 Harvard graduates in Lehman Brothers. And it collapsed only because of the greed of very highly capable, intellectual, smart business leaders. So that is a big lesson for the entire world, that IMT Hyderabad took cues from this global financial crisis and lessons from global financial crisis, and took up the task of nurturing socially responsible business leaders. And this echoes with the principles of responsible management education, which UN is championing. And this echoes with the another initiative taken up by UN called Sustainability Development Goals since 2015. So we strongly believe that we are part of an ecosystem where society cannot be ignored. And that's where whichever student graduates from IMT Group or IMT Hyderabad should be relevant, resourceful, and responsible to the stakeholders. So, that's the grand vision of IMT Hyderabad, Professor Vinay.
Yeah, so very appropriate indeed. So it's 2022, and we cannot be in that profit mongering silo that a lot of organizations were in for a long time. And we need to really align ourselves to the current reality, right from United Nations, Sustainable Development Goals to ESG and corporate governance rules that are coming in. This is, if you've not heard about ESG yet, you will definitely hear about it very, very soon. I mean, whichever sphere of work, whichever type of company you're working for, IT or manufacturing or any company that you're working for, is definitely going to eventually have to focus on this. All because, as I said, it's 2022, and we really have to, make sure the planet is saved, the people in the planet are living fruitful and healthy lives, and therefore, very, very appropriate, industry relevant vision that you've chalked yourself for the institute. Professor, so all this vision is good, as in, you print a board and stick it across the institute, and then what do we do after that? How does it get implemented in your curriculum, in your decision making? So how does that vision percolate into the various processes of the institute? We'd like to hear about that.
Thank you, Professor. Yeah, uh, great idea. If it is not a reality, it's of no use. So, ability to express an idea is as important as the idea itself. Ability to implement that idea is as important as the idea itself. So, yeah, we had chalked out a grand vision, but there are three ways in which we wanted to realize this vision, which we have articulated in our mission statement. First, through academic excellence, all the while, whatever pursuit we do at IMT Hyderabad, we are in pursuit of academic excellence. We do not want academics to be transactional. We want academics nothing less than to be excellent. Second one, we being a B school, one of these significant stakeholder is corporates. So through industry interaction involving corporates in our academic activities, we would like to realize the vision. And third important thing, to instill social consciousness. So the vision of nurturing socially responsible business leaders is achieved through students or the faculty and students together pursuing academic excellence, faculty and students closely bonding with the corporates, the industry, and faculty and students, especially faculty instilling that social consciousness among the students or nurturing that social consciousness among the students. These are the three ways in which we would like to realize the grand vision of nurturing socially responsible business leaders. Now, this is mission. I mean, if any of them had basic inputs of strategy in their graduation, so vision is an aspirational statement. Mission is a 35,000 feet objective. Now that further should percolate to goals. So audience here predominantly are students, prospective students. But as an institute, we try to cater to several stakeholders, and student is one very significant stakeholder. And by the way, students who are listening to me at IMT Hyderabad, we want you to pursue careers, not placements. We want you to pursue, you should be in pursuit of excellence, but not transactional, a piece of achieving a sheet of degree. So these vision and mission got incorporated at program level. That is what the audience here will be eventually pursuing, be it our PGDM programs, be it our FPM programs, or be it our PGDM executive programs. All the courses in the programs will have one of these program goals. So achieving domain proficiency or working towards nurturing creative skills, or enhancing communication skills, or developing global perspective. Okay, so these are some of the program goals which are embedded across courses, and faculty are will be driving the courses with an objective to um, objective to disseminate knowledge or make the students apply these skills or mold their attitude around achieving these goals. So that is what is a broad plan. I mean, nitty-gritties, the audience would have heard from the PGP chair earlier, or the placements chair. How is that we, at granular level, we try to embed these components in course level and assessments. Over to you, Professor Vinay.
Yeah, indeed. So nobody but you could have articulated it in that manner. I mean, so as you said, all the other aspects have been discussed, in bits and pieces. So you are the final piece of that jigsaw puzzle, which I kind of will put everything in perspective. And I think that is what this session is all about. So I'd like to, also bring to the notice of the people who are who have tuned in. There are certain key areas which IMTH is working on, and significant amount of resources and industrial collaborations have been set up in these areas. Could you please elaborate on that, sir?
Sure. Thank you. Um, uh, all the audience who are listening to us, please understand that IMT as an institute is not buildings. IMT as an institute is not 30-acre campus we have. IMT as an institute is not all those photographs which we show in our brochures about the infrastructure. IMT is people. And in people, there are two critical stakeholders called faculty and students. Teaching and learning happens in an academic institution if only there is a teacher, faculty, and there is a student. And these two, and rest all, right, from management to staff to recruiters to all, are supporting to these two stakeholders to achieve that grand vision, or through those three aspects of mission. So to make it, if I were to create an institute which will only teach and not create a platform for students to experience by applying what all students come to know, then they cannot be relevant, resourceful, and responsible business leaders. So we created an ecosystem where around these programs, there are certain other centers which will help us to bring corporates to the campus and work closely with both faculty and students on the globally contemporary and emerging trends. So just to give you a glimpse of it, we strongly believe there are three trends which are driving global leaders, be it government leaders, be it regulators, be it corporates, be it NGOs, or the thought leaders. So what are these three trends? Prior to COVID, it was two trends which were driving the processes. Of course, pandemic is one. Last 2 years has disrupted the way businesses we can visualize, remodeling of the businesses we can visualize. So one significant trend is a post-pandemic, which we call it as next normal. So it will not be till 2019 the way businesses are done. From 22 onwards, businesses will be done in a completely different way, because so many concepts have become, so many ideas have become reality because of the constraints posed by COVID pandemic. So any innovation, I mean, mother of invention is necessity. So the COVID pandemic constrained us in so many ways, and so we started thinking differently, and new business models have evolved. And the audience who are part of this will be witnessing that very shortly. This is first trend. Second trend, which was there, I mean, I just mentioned a while ago. In 2000, UN has taken up Millennium Development Goals and pursued that from 2000 to 2015. And that's when you would have witnessed so many leveraging technology in creating that inclusive growth, financial inclusion, social inclusion, so on and so forth. From 2015 onwards, UN has taken up 17 SDG goals, Sustainability Development Goals. And predominantly, this is something which is part of climate action. And climate action, by the way, this was initiated way back in 90s, early 90s. And to sync with this, UN has taken up this SDGs goals, and that will be there till 2030. So 2015 to 2030. Thanks to the one of the key donors for this movement was US, and the leadership between 2015 to 2020 was not very keen. US leadership was not very keen in pursuing these goals, and it took a backseat. The moment the new leadership has come, now that's how you have witnessed Glasgow COP26. So a lot of activity is happening at country level, at to the corporate level, global multilateral agencies, to the central governments, to state governments, to the local panchayat bodies. So this SDGs are getting percolated to grassroots, and it will be the intensity of the activities in SDGs will be even more as we go forward in the current US administration. Okay, the kind of funding US and EU is giving for UN to pursue these SDG goals. Second one, third one, you would have heard about digital automation, then information technology, and all that. Currently, it is digital transformation, which encompasses not only information technology, but so many other technologies. I'm sure you would have heard about Internet of Things, AI, ML, and 3D printing, drone technology. So there are certain 7 to 8 disruptive technologies which would define the way future businesses are done. Already they are defining. It's only regulators are watchfully looking at all these. How would this impact the entire ecosystem if we straight away allow for business applications? Now, as we are talking, as simple as cloud technologies to quantum computing to space tourism to now we are using YouTube, or we are using this platform like WebEx to interact, and still I'm able to see two-dimension visuals. Now, I'm sure the audience whom I'm addressing, they are the technology natives, and they know far more than what I belong to technology adapters. So you would have heard of this metaverse. Metaverse will be a game changer. That is the reason why Google is investing a lot on that. Facebook is investing a lot, and several companies. So the way in early 2000s, internet was a disruptor. Internet with two-dimension visuals. Now metaverse is going to be an internet, a place with the three-dimension visuals, creating better experience for the browsers or net surfers. This is just one application. There will be several such applications in several walks of corporates, and you will be part of that story. So realizing the importance of the next normal due to COVID, realizing the importance of the digital transformation and disruptive technologies, realizing the importance of the impetus given on sustainability development goals, we started 3 centers. Of course, keeping once again faculty and students in mind. One is the Center for Sustainability and CSR. Second one, Center for Digital Transformation. And third one, Center for Leadership. Whenever you have such disruptions, it is you as change agents who will have to play a significant role in that transitionary period. Okay, so you would have heard of VUCA, volatile, uncertain, chaotic, and ambiguous environment. That's where you will be playing a role, of course, with social consciousness. So these 3 centers, how we have structured, we have an advisory council who are industry veterans. We have an executive council with faculty and practitioners. I'm assuming by now you know what I mean by practitioners. We have a unique feature of 20% of courses are handled by industry practitioners, and they are somewhere between visiting faculty and full-time academic faculty who are involved in designing, delivery, and sometimes in assessment of the courses. So the executive council is faculty and practitioners, and then supported by students. So these 3 layers, all of them come together to further the objectives of these 3 centers, once again in line with nurturing socially responsible business leaders. So thanks for asking that question, Professor Vinay.
Yeah, so it was one of the unscripted ones. But then I thought, I mean, a lot of, our discussions and our thought processes and our time is going into these centers, and we are really trying to be thought leaders in these domains, and therefore it was relevant for us to ask that question. You mentioned mentioned the term VUCA. Speaking of VUCA, we had one in the last 2 years. Huge amount of disruption due to COVID, and so as I mean, you were saying, leadership plays an important role. So what was your approach towards this entire disruption in the pandemic, and how has that impact? I mean, how have you been able to maintain business continuity and ensure the program goals are achieved, even if it is online mode and all of that? If you could elaborate it for our audience, please.
Sure. So, I mean, last 2 years, I mean, I would never forget the day when suddenly lockdown was announced on March 22nd, if I remember right, in 2020. I mean, that was disruption to the core across. That was a systemic risk to governments, to corporates, to institutions like us. But fortunately, March, we were at the closure of that year's program. Students, one of the unique features of IMT Hyderabad is students pursue a 12-week-long internship program mentored by faculty, mentored by the corporate mentor in the premises of the company. So thrice faculty visit to the companies and then spend time with students in phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, wherein the output will be initial proposal report, interim report, and final report. That has been a rich experience to the students achieving our vision. This got disrupted. So March 22nd, lockdown, and my students were to pursue internship from April 1st. And then there was all confusion, chaos around. So all travel plans got dropped. So that's when quickly, thanks to the efforts from our corporate relations team and the relationship which we had with our recruiters, all the face-to-face internships quickly got converted into the online internships. And because we have been investing on technology right from 2011, so quickly adapting to interactions over Skype or interactions using Microsoft Teams was not a challenge. So faculty quickly were able to adapt to, and I must share with the audience here, we are privileged to have one of the youngest, we are the youngest campus in the group, and we have a youngest faculty team who, some of them are technology natives, very closer to you guys. And so quickly they were able to adapt to various technology solutions, be it MST or virtual labs or some of the quizzing tools like Socrative. So, and ensured to the extent possible, giving that experiential learning to the students during the internship as well as during the first term of the year, that is term 1 and term 4. But slowly, after 4 months, digital fatigue got into both the teachers as well as learners, faculty and learners. And that this is something universal phenomena. It is not something new. That's when students started asking, when are you calling us to campus? This was just after first wave. But all the audience who are listening, we were never impulsive. And at IMT Hyderabad, we follow consultative and participatory approach in decision making, and all the stakeholders are involved in such crucial decision making. So we have a body called Student Council, and I must appreciate the Student Council at IMT Hyderabad. They have been extremely responsible and adaptive, and they played very significant role in navigating through the crisis called COVID. So then I opened my campus because regulation allowed. So I started opening campus from January. So, but that was short-lived. January, February, and March, once again, there was a second wave. And second wave with more intensity. First wave, we were only hearing numbers. Second wave, we started hearing names. And it was fatal. And no protection in the form of vaccine. So students were so very cooperative, and then quickly, once again, this time we were little prepared. So online internships were arranged. And then from term 1, term onwards, students started. So when are we coming back to? So all the while, both faculty and students were keen to have face-to-face sessions, not these virtual sessions. Virtual sessions are okay with webinars, but the real charm of classroom teaching, and I must share with the audience at IMT Hyderabad, we not only create learning experience in the classroom, but also sidelines of the classroom and beyond classrooms. You would have heard some of the students talking about so many clubs and all that. So that is part of the grand design of the curriculum at IMT Hyderabad. So then 21, I think September, the things were conducive. And once again, I called all my students to campus. And then suddenly in mid of January this month, once again, Omicron has hit, and anxieties were there. Students, of course, fortunately, we had a term break and students left during the term break. And I'm only hoping that this wave should end very quickly and students should be on the campus. So throughout, it is being continuously communicative with the stakeholders, continuously keeping that channel of communication with the stakeholders, and appreciating the anxieties more than rules and regulations. So health, safety is so very important. So we made an attempt, all the faculty members, with the help of the student council, we were highly sensitive towards the anxieties of the students as well as faculty. And third and most important, we were absolutely transparent in whatever we are doing. And I must share with the audience who are listening to me, there were certain questions from the students. We are not in campus, so what about the amounts which otherwise would have been spent on hostel maintenance? What about that? We said we will refund. So first wave we refund, we made the refund. Second wave we made the refund. So please understand the audience here. Our vision is to be leading management institute that nurtures socially responsible business leaders. Our vision is not to just mint money, make money and create surplus. We are here to make a difference to the society around us through you. We want you to excel in your careers and make your families proud and make us proud and make a difference to the ecosystem around us. So it was a challenging, daunting task, but thanks to the support from the stakeholders, we could navigate. And I'm very optimistic that maybe from March, if things continue, we are currently observing. So from hopefully mid of February or March, we will open up campus, and once again, freely we students and faculty will be experiencing that enriching learning experience, teaching learning experience.
Indeed, and even if you look at the graduation outcomes, I think we are the year-on-year growth that we've been showing has continued even in the COVID years, which I think is pretty great in terms of consistent performance. I mean, whether it is online or offline, IMT never sleeps. That's what we can say. So in the context of this whole virtualization of the classroom, and you also talked about the metaverse and everything, where do you think management education is headed in the long run?
Yeah, I mean, this is a difficult question, but I'll try to answer. And the audience who are listening to us, so you will be wondering, some of them had these apprehensions because of COVID. Will it be only online? When will it come back to the normalcy? So there is not even a single day where institute was closed during these 2 years, because we are a residential campus. One of the things which was taught, a lesson taught by this pandemic is value can be created even without physical campuses. So the future of management education will be institutes like IMT who believe in immersive, experiential, transformative curriculums will thrive, will survive, will grow, will thrive, and will excel. All those institutes who do not pursue excellence, but who pursue the transactional goals, and who say, you come here, we teach, and you learn, and we give a certificate, and you go out and search jobs by yourself, or we'll create some ordinary jobs for you. All those kind of institutes will perish. Then who will take their place? I must share with the audience that the competition for management education will not be by peer management groups, but it will be by virtual universities. So you would have already observed there are so many. Currently, we give little less weightage to online MBA programs. But one of the limitation of current online programs is that immersive experience. So as we move on, the technology will help us to create that, overcome this limitation of creating experiential learning and the technology, lack of awareness of technology adoption. All these things will be plugged, and we would see two kinds of management institutes globally. So Harvard still continue to exist, NUS still continue to exist, IMT Hyderabad or IMT Group will still continue to exist because they provide value to the students in creating careers through immersive, transformative, and experiential learning. Okay, and all those who just want immersive learning experience for various reasons, maybe affordability could be, and all these programs will be even more expensive. So programs offered by Harvard, NUS, IMT will become more expensive because value is being delivered. So all those who cannot afford or for various reasons, or who want convenience, flexibility because of locational constraints or career aspirations, for them, online programs will be available with better experience. So as we move on, online programs will not be distance mode programs. Online programs will be same program offered in physical mode, but in a virtual space. That's where metaverse comes into picture. Okay, so but with less expensive. So one side, management institutes are going to give highly customized programs for a set of audience. On the other side, in online mode, programs will be offered with mass customization. So, I mean, audience would have heard about Industry 4.0. Now, there is something called Industry 5.0, which is coming up. Industry 4.0 is driven by internationalization and digitalization. Now, Industry 5.0 will be driven by mass customization. Already you are witnessing that in the services of Amazon's or as simple as your Google services. The moment you Google customized news as per your requirements, you will be able to see. Similar thing will happen in a more structured way. You would have already witnessed services offered by Coursera or some of these where mass customization can be done. You can make your own program, clear the credits, and then get requisite knowledge, skills, or and then get the degree. Another significant trend, slowly the stakeholders will cease to appreciate the value of degree. So, I mean, we were brought up in such an environment where 10th class certificate, plus 2 certificate, degree certificate, postgraduate certificate, PhD certificate. So these are of paramount importance to us. As we move on, the corporates started appreciating. That's how you're seeing those upgrade advertisements where our certificate is good enough for you to make a career shift. So that's the same thing will come to the management education. So let me reiterate, strong players like IMT Group will be able to survive this critical change and continue to give that immersive and transformative learning experience to the students. And I mean, fortunately, in our group, we have IMT CDL, which also is taking care of the other trend, that is providing MBA online. So this is how the entire management education space will be reorienting and trying to create value for various aspirants.
Yeah. So, in both of these, diverse segments that you're talking about, the one thing that is, that is a characteristic of the physical immersive teaching that we do is that there is engagement beyond graduation as well, right? So, when you talked about being transactional and that is not enough, online MBAs or whatever, at best they're transactional. You engage with those interfaces for a limited period of time. You finish that and then you are done and out, right? There is no alumni base. There's no networks that you can build from there, and it's just one-on-one between Udemy and you. But in our case, I think there is this continuous learning that we have and engagement through alumni initiatives. Could you talk about that, sir?
Sure. Thank you. So one of the hallmark of IMT Group is once you join IMT, you are IMTN for life. So, I mean, we strongly believe that we want to nurture socially responsible business leaders, and we just don't want to leave you after giving a certificate. So we want to continue relationship with the alumni whom we take pride. And there are so many avenues through which we engage with our alumni. So in every walk of the activities done by the institute, we try to involve alumni. So I was talking about practitioners. Some of the practitioners are alumni. And in admission interviews, we involve alumni. So, I mean, they feel so connected, and that sense of ownership is there among the alumni, and they keep appreciating. See, you are now aspiring to get into the institute. You will be having certain priorities. Once you get into the institute, 2 years, from being naive to you will become smart at the end of 2 years. And then your objectives will be to get into a job. Even though we say we want you to get into a career, initially you will have aspirations of getting into a job. Then slowly you will improve yourself, and with better perspectives on the field, you will move from position to position. And every walk of your corporate career, we always extend that support to you. So there are so many alumni who reach out to us. I have this business plan, or I am trying to make a career shift. So that's where they feel like connecting with us. So this is informally. Formally, we have several city level alumni meets. We have all India level alumni meets. And very recently, we started in between the two waves, wave 2 and wave 3, we started breakfast meets. And there we just meet and try to update each other. Normally, what some of the institute does is, I call alumni and get some connects from alumni and try to see how I can get to the recruiters and all that. So we strongly do not believe in transactional relationship. It is a long-term relationship where for the 2 years it will be teacher-student relationship, and this continues for the lifetime. So that's where at IMT Group we call it as IMTN for life. And we have got around 14,000 plus alumni base, a nice portal. We have our own IMT Facebook kind of portal where you can connect with right from the alumni who are from 82 passed out to as recently as 21 passed out. So we have created an ecosystem, the platforms where continuously we try to engage with the alumni and involve them in various activities. In leadership labs, we involve our alumni. In workshops, we involve our alumni. So, and so many panel discussions we do. So, all the audience who are listening to us, if you are joining IMT group, I must share with you that every time in our inaugural address, we say, welcome to IMT family. Now, when you are part of a family, it will not be 2 years. 2 years you are part of the family and third year you are out of the family. It doesn't work like that. So the moment you are part of IMT family, you're part of the family as long as we are. Yeah. Thank you, Professor Vinay, for asking the question.
Yeah, in fact, the alumni base of IMT. So it's like a one brand IMT, right? So the entire alumni base of all the campuses kind of come onto that one portal and then build synergies, and that's indeed a very great part. I mean, it's indeed great to be a part of this IMT family. I'm looking for questions now. I think it's almost 11:20. Anirban, could you help me with the questions? I'm not able to see them.
There have been a couple posted on the WebEx, I mean the chat platform to you. So it has, I just checked, it has posted to you, sir.
Okay, so there is one question which says, is there another round of application? Which I believe is the current forum is not approved to answer that. Apart from that, I have not received any questions. I'm just looking for a questions tab. That's pretty much of what I see here, Anirban. Any other questions on YouTube Live that you see?
No, those are pertaining to admissions and all, which we have been handling at that stage.
Yeah, so I totally understand the anxieties of the current students who are looking to get into the gate of the institute first. And there will be a lot of admission related queries that you all, I'm sure, are well equipped to answer. Shall we, so any final message for the MBA aspirants, Professor Sriharsha? What is your advice for these people as they look forward to, first of all, get admitted into an MBA college and further looking forward to a fruitful career? Your advice to the students.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor. So, I have been a continuous learner the last 2 decades, and I do continue that. So, I'm just like you who are about to start your career. So, I'm only sharing my thoughts, but not in the form of a message or advice or suggestion. So, you can only, if it is worth it, take it or leave it. I mean, when I did my MBA way back, I mean, the kind of anxiety you are experiencing, even I experienced, and getting into an institute is the big thing. So we do so many, we write CAT and all those kind of competitive exams, do well, and we'll be worried about with this cutoff, will I get into this? With this cutoff, will I be getting into this? How do I need to do interview? How do I need to do group discussion? This is where our entire mind will be occupied with. I can absolutely empathize with you, and I do not know how many of the grand vision which I shared you got to appreciate. But this video will be available whenever you can have a look at it. So do not forget all the hard work you are putting in now. The moment you get a seat in an institute, So many of you do this mistake of, now I boarded the train, so let me relax. Okay, the train will take me to the career. Please understand, by just paying the fees to a gymnasium, you will not build your body. Okay, you need to work out. So by merely getting in a prestigious institute like IMT, that doesn't guarantee you the career which you are looking at. So right from day one, you will have to get involved in the various activities. And mind you, audience who are attending here, it will be pressure cooker situation. If you are somebody unorganized and if you are somebody not very disciplined. Okay, it's not that Einstein's only excel. It is somebody who is disciplined, committed, and organized right from prior to joining the institute are the ones who will be able to thrive and experience all the inputs which institute is trying to give, and then you will make your career and excel. So my input to all the aspiring prospective students, the moment if you are able to make it to IMT, the moment you get an offer letter, that's when you have joined us. And plan everything in such a way that right from day one, you're able to experience and utilize all the resources at the institute. And one parting message, always remain curious. Always keep your inquisitive quotient high. And that is the only thing which will help you, excite you to learn continuously and make a difference to people around you, to organizations around you. So you will be the most sought after, irrespective of the position you are holding, the experience you have, the age you have, the gender you are, whatever, you will be resourceful, relevant, and throughout try to be responsible to the stakeholders around. So stick. I mean, we all had this when we were kids. Okay, we were curious. We had that inquisitiveness. Retain that or discover that within you and continue nurturing that curious quotient. Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, so this before we part, just one question which has come up here, and I believe that gymnasium analogy is really on point. I mean, we always think, the institute is not a spa, right? We are not nicely putting you to sleep when you come here. You have to really, hit the, lift the weights and do the cardio and really build yourself, build your profile, build your personal brand, and that is what will take you to a fruitful career. So there's one question which is one step before what you just answered. You said, should you make it into the gates, then yes, all of these are valid. But what is IMT looking for in the PI, or what exactly is the college looking for in the candidates? That's one question that has come up, and that will be the last question that you will be talking about before we part.
Sure. I'm seeing I have 1 more minute before my colleague
Yeah.
joins. So this question was answered by my earlier sessions as well. See, simply we are looking for someone who can gel into our system, get sustain the chiseling what we do, and eventually you will be forming into a statue. You will be forming into someone who is corporate ready. So we are looking for students who can be molded into the industry ready or corporate ready. So can you take that grind? Do you have that physical ability, mental ability to take on the grind which we give, is what we are looking at.
Yeah, I think that abstracts out all the metrics that we are looking for, and the exact metrics you will find it. The admissions team must have facilitated at some point of time what exactly we're looking for. But broadly, this is what we're looking for when we, when you're sitting in front of us in your PI. Thank you very much, Professor Sriharsha Reddy, for your valuable time, and I'm sure your words of wisdom have really helped the students understand, what we're trying to do here at IMT Hyderabad. And so I think we have to over to the Nagpur folks. But before that, I think Anirban has some parting words.
Thank you, Professor, and all the best to all the audience who are listening to us.
Thank you, Professor Vinay and Professor Sriharsha Reddy, for a highly
Thank you.
insightful and engaging discussions on campus. Campus vision, new initiatives, corporate academia partnerships, and the future of management education. I'm sure the participants have been enriched and are in a better place to take and informed decisions. Now, let me invite the chairperson admissions at IMT Nagpur, Professor Pavan Jain, to take the session forward. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Professor Vinay. Thank you, Dr. Sriharsha Reddy,
Thank you.
for sharing your thought process. Uh, Welcome you again, all the audiences there listening us on this IMT Connect series. My name is Pavan Jain. I'm from IMT Nagpur. I'm a professor of accounting and finance at IMT Nagpur, and also handling admission portfolio in addition to the academics, which I'm already taking care of. With me, I have today Dr. Ramadu. He is the Dean Academics, my colleague in the finance area. Welcome, Dr. Ramadu.
Thank you, Professor Pavan.
Okay.
Am I audible? Am I audible, Professor Pavan?
Yes, very much, sir. Very much, sir. Very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. Yeah.
Thank you.
So on 23rd of this month, that is 23rd of January, we brought to you the placement chairs, program chairs, and alumni talking about programs, the placement status, and the alumni's experiences at the campus. They talked at length what all things are there which are waiting for you when you join the IMT campus. Today, that is 30th of January, we have brought to you the directors and the dean, and the purpose of bringing them to this platform is to let you know what these people they have in their mind, the vision for the campus. So whenever you are joining us, whenever you're joining the IMT fraternity, you should be clear where are you getting into. So to answer multiple questions which you might be having in your mind, Mr. Ramadu is there. Just a brief introduction about Professor Ramadu's illustrious career. He is currently serving as Dean Academics of IMT Nagpur. Dr. Ramadu has 32 years of administrative and academic expertise. Doctorate in finance. He is IMA and UGC accredited teacher. He has held several key portfolios, including chairman and member of academic boards of many universities of repute. Traveled extensively to many countries in Europe, Asia, on multiple academic assignments for chairing technical sessions and for presenting his research work. So with these words, Dr. Ramadu, welcome once again to this gathering. There are many questions. Let me just start with the basic question, that is, tell us something about IMT Nagpur, Dr. Ramadu.
Thank you, Professor Pavan. It's a pleasure being here with you and with other participants. IMT Nagpur was established in the year 2004 by late Sri Mahendranath Ji, who was a great visionary. He was basically an industrialist, but had very strong passion to give back to the society, particularly in terms of higher education. So, as most of us know, he started IMT Ghaziabad first and followed by IMT Nagpur in 2004. That was his vision. It is nestled in the lap of 27 acres of lush green. Hope those who have seen the campus online would have experienced it. It's a very, very beautiful campus. It's a lush green campus. And we offer three important programs. One is PGDM, which is NBA accredited and equivalent to MBA by Association of Indian Universities. And we offer PGDM Finance and we offer PGDM Marketing. So totally we offer three programs at IMT Nagpur. And IMT Nagpur always takes a lot of pride in the intellectual capital that we have. The kind of professors we have at IMT Nagpur are amazing, who primarily come with an appropriate blend of industry experience and academia experience. So that is the unique selling proposition of faculty at IMT Nagpur. As all of us know, only the critical component, only the critical aspect of any educational institution is the intellectual capital. If the institution ensures the investment in intellectual capital, the rest of the things automatically fall in line. So this is very brief about IMT Nagpur, and we have very good infrastructural facilities at IMT Nagpur. Uh, Out of state facilities we have, both in terms of IT, as our vision is to be recognized as the key contributor in offering innovative management education. We always ensure that we have value-driven education and facilitated by the technology, and we always strive to excel in the industry-relevant management programs. That's a unique selling proposition of IMT Nagpur. And of course, through engagement of the professors and the students in research, we always strive to keep adding value to the body of the knowledge chosen, that is expanding the knowledge base through research, consulting, and collaborative assignments with the industry. And our prime focus is continuous engagement of the students in their journey, continuously. So this is brief about IMT Nagpur. And we have value systems, Professor Pavan. As such, in the process of achieving our vision, uh, we have certain value systems which is primarily drives our vision, like integrity. We never compromise with the integrity at IMT Nagpur. And collective decision making is another critical factor, important factor at IMT Nagpur. We take all stakeholders into account in any decision making, be it academic related, research related, or extracurricular activities, whatever it is. And we have compassion with the commitment, and we are always sensitive to the sustainability. As all of us know, we continuously keep SDGs in our mind, and that's how we have established our facilities to sustain the environment in the long run. So this is a brief about IMT Nagpur. Thank you.
Yeah, just continuing about the student engagement, students participation in the various activities. Uh, can you throw some light on how they call it as a the campus run by the institute, by the students? In what manner are they involved in some other activities as well, other than academic activities? Are there clubs, committees, forums, things like that there where they're involved in their daily day-to-day activities? Professor Raman.
Thank you for that. As I mentioned, the engagement is the key factor at IMT Nagpur. See, IMT Nagpur, we simply do not believe only and only in academic as such. We strongly believe in holistic development of our students, because we take the candidates into IMT Nagpur not just to give the degree or not just to give only the employment as such, but it is primarily to mold them into a complete, a thorough individual, like well transformed individual. That is the focus that we have. So in the process, we professors and the staff at IMT Nagpur will not be in the forefront of the activities. Rather, we give them good amount of freedom to engage themselves in many activities like curricular activities, co-curricular activities, the extracurricular activities, for example. You see, the education is not something about only the knowledge base. It's not only about the degree per se. Like you see, these days, knowledge can be obtained from any source for that matter. There is no dearth of sources for enhancement of the knowledge, in my personal opinion.
Very true.
But what's important is molding an individual and transforming an individual as an excellent individual. So at IMT Nagpur, we have several. We take pride in saying that our campus is a students-driven campus. IMT Nagpur has been known for being driven by the students as such. We have several activities and the forums. One of such most important activity is Drishtikon, which we talk about. It's a chief executive officer's conclave, which we organize every year, completely driven by the students community. And it's only the faculty who will be supporting them, probably in bringing some leads from the industry to the students community. But it is the students who get in touch with CEOs of the companies and engage them on their own. We will just be supporting. That's one thing. And second thing, we have various clubs, Professor Pawan, at IMT Nagpur. These clubs are domain-specific clubs. We have, like in finance, say, Finoholics, say, for example, etc., who continuously, the students, of course, these clubs are headed by the students community and guided by the faculty mentor. As I said, we believe in mentoring the students, not the teaching the students as such. So we have various academic committees and we have extracurricular committees. That is how we have the entrepreneurial club at IMT Nagpur, wherein the students themselves have opened, like one small cooperative stores at the campus, and they run on their own. We just support them in running that, to support in terms of the physical facilities, infrastructure facilities, some advisory, more importantly.
In fact, some of us, we have also gone there at the cooperative store and made our purchases
Yes,
from those
yes,
cooperative stores. Yes, very right. Very right. Dr. Amadou, there are, it's almost 2 years when we started in this pandemic situation. Right now, it's still not sure whether the situation will improve in near future or not. But then, of course, economic numbers and other numbers, they are looking up and looking up very good. But still, there is, there are students, there are participants, and the aspirants who have got, kind of confused whether they should go for this higher education right now, because it's just not a matter of 1 day or 2 days. They're investing into this education. It's a matter of 2 years there, and then more than 10 lakh of rupees they are putting in as an investment. So do you really think that this is the right time to go for this kind of investment, be it time wise or be it money wise? What is your opinion about it, sir?
My opinion, Professor Pavan, yes, my answer is yes, it's definitely 110%. It's a right decision to pursue MBA program at this juncture, because you see, during 2020 and 21, even the opportunity cost of not working has been very low. We have already experienced it. Companies sacking the employees, laying off the employees, opportunities started shrinking once the pandemic broke. So that is how this opportunity cost of not working became very, very low as such. That is one thing. And second thing is, this is an excellent investment. Unlike many other courses, this management program is only the program across the globe, in my opinion, which is a evergreen program. Because you see, this MBA spreads across various domains, like IT, say for example, like hospitals, like manufacturing, say for example, like service sector, say for example. There is a dire requirement of manager in almost all sectors, be it service oriented or the manufacturing for that. Unlike engineering, say for example, if a candidate does mechanical engineering, say for example, the career completely depends only and only on the growth and development of, you see, like mechanical engineering. Whereas MBA is unlike that. You see, like you have very wide array of opportunities across various sectors in the country as well as abroad. That's one thing. And Professor Pavan, as we can see, you see, Indian economy started bouncing back now. If you look into high frequency indicators of Indian economy, like for example, consumer spending. There is a significant amount of increase in the consumer spending. And look at the business confidence index, say for example, like manufacturing PMI, say for example. These are, and I was just looking into unified payment interface. There is a significant increase in the transactions through this unified payment index as such. And apart from that, Professor Pawan, you see these venture capitalists started pouring in more and more money into the economy these days. So economy is poised to bounce back. It's poised to grow. It's 110% might take on investment in MBA or pursuing MBA. This is the best time, absolutely. One doesn't have to repent and one doesn't have to hesitate at all to do MBA at this point in time. Absolutely.
And can I add something here, sir?
Yes,
Since
please.
IMT Nagpur has been very much, kind of advocating entrepreneurial ventures from its campus. Like there have been some 4 or 5 ventures which came out from the campus only, entrepreneurial ventures which came out from campus only. I think not just seeking job is one thing, but then creating jobs is another thing as well. When you are pursuing a 2-year PGDM program, you're definitely learning the intricacies of management. You're learning how to plan. You're learning how to arrange financing. You are learning how to go for marketing the things. You're learning how to utilize the online mode of promoting your product. So all these things, they definitely you learn, and then you can start your own venture, you can start your own entrepreneurial and then this is another way through which you can definitely grow, you can definitely progress. You would like to add something here, Professor Ramdev?
Yeah, that's very important point that you have spoken, Professor Ravan. Today, you see, job creation is more important than job seeking. And like many B schools in the country and across started emphasizing more on developing entrepreneurial skills among the students community, we at IMT Nagpur have definitely recognized it as the most important course or the subject at IMT Nagpur. So from that sense, we have given due importance to entrepreneurship, and we call it entrepreneurship and new venture creation. That's what we coined as such. And we have an entrepreneurship cell here at IMT Nagpur, and we have separate forum, entrepreneurship cell forum at IMT Nagpur. And AICTE also has recognized our cell as one of the most prominent entrepreneurship cells, and they're trying to fund even some of the activities. You see, we focus on the following activities as far as entrepreneurships are concerned at IMT Nagpur. Number one, we have a conclave, as I was mentioning, wherein every year we bring in the venture capitalists onto the campus, and we bring like many seasoned entrepreneurs onto the campus, and we conduct some kind of competitions or the events wherein the students would come out with various ideas of starting new ventures. It's a kind of presentations mode. So a group of students, a few group of students, conceive some plan like idea generation, etc., ideation of the business or whatever it is, whatever they have in mind, and they prepare a small proposal and make the presentation to the panel of well-seasoned entrepreneurs, seasoned venture capitalists who will be here on the campus. Based upon the assessment of these proposals, there are instances wherein some of these venture capitalists came forward to invest their money in the ideas that our students communities have put in as such. So that's one thing. And second thing is we also give some amount of moratoriums to the students community, meaning once the student graduates from IMT Nagpur, He is always free to come back to the campus and make use of the facilities, both intellectual capital, that is the professor's advice, and the infrastructural facilities like learning resources, say IT facilities, say for example. They can always come back to the campus because it's their campus. It's ultimately their campus. The
Very true.
moment a student becomes IMT, and he is after all a family member of IMT Nagpur. So
True.
we provide that kind of moratorium to the students, Professor Pawan. We support the students in, and we try our level best to bring out that entrepreneurship gene, like intuition from them as such. We try.
Yeah. So just to add what you said, sir. In fact, I can recall in 2016-18 batch, two young men, they started their own organic farming products, and the test marketing, of course, they carried out at the campus only during when they were there in the campus, and they are running a very successful venture based out of Kolkata. And in fact, one of them, he has been, his name is Manjul. He has been, once he has come to the campus, spoke to me at length. They're making very good making very good returns on that organic stuff. So, continuing the discussion, Professor Ramadu,
Yeah.
now we have already talked about whether this is the right time or not for these aspirants to go for MBA or not. Can you talk about the role IMT Nagpur, we as an institution, can play in in these endeavors of these applicants, these MBA aspirants? How can IMT Nagpur, we as an institution, can help these candidates making their dream come true? The dream is to get a very good professional and personal life post their MBA. So, what is your thought process? How do we get into the picture? We means IMT Nagpur get into the picture. Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is an interesting question, Professor Pravar. As I was mentioning, you see, every individual, of course, will have a specific dream, specific objectives before joining the program. In general, of course, most of the students will have employment as the major goal. And it's not just about the employment in the corporate, but you see the professional growth over a period of time. As I mentioned to you, the role of a B school should never ever end up simply by fetching the employment to the student. Fetching the employment is a great thing, definitely, no doubt about it, but that's not only the thing that an institution can do. So here, as I was mentioning to you, like supporting the students, facilitating the students in pursuing the passion that they have, for example. You know, that passion could be the employment, the passion could be being the employer, say, for example, the passion could be, say, influencer, say, for example, that passion could be, the leader to become a great leader, say, for example, like that's very important. So generally, we map our activities and the resources to the passion that the students have by and large. The one important role that we play at IMT Nagpur is, apart from imparting the academic related courses or the knowledge, we facilitate the students in bringing up the leadership skills in them. That's more important. Today, you see what's very critical is the leadership skills. And that is the reason why I said, we ourselves would not be at the forefront of the activities. Rather, we put the students at the forefront and we give them. It is something like. And second thing is, we empower the students. You see, empowerment is a critical thing, right? So when you empower the students, all innovative ideas come up. All ideas will come up. Their true talent will come up, because you see the kids these days have a lot of talent, but unfortunately most of the times, most of the talent is latent, it's hidden in them. So it is for the faculty mentor, it is for the B school to bring out such a hidden talent. I'm just trying to say that our role is not simply to offer PGDM program. with say highest CGPA, and then give the employment and give a big clap to the students and send them off. No, it's not that. During this 2 years period, we try to bring out the latent skills in the student. And second thing, at IMT Nagpur, Professor Pawan, we provide plenty of flexibility and adaptability to the students community. You see, the students obviously come with various backgrounds, like various academic background, various cultural background. See, gelling in is more important. So here we provide a lot of flexibility to the students and adaptability to the students. Flexibility in terms of the, like learning mode. That's what I meant by the flexibility, because you see, we do not have any fixed way of learning mode for all the students community. That's where we professors at IMT Nagpur recognize that every student has one's own, like pattern of learning, the mode of learning. So you should tune your, grading system or imparting the knowledge, etc., in line with that. And then, that is what I meant by flexibility and adaptability. We adapt to such kind of things. And another role that we play among at IMT Nagpur is we stress more on critical thinking. This is what's important for the students community. Just create the situations either through the case studies or maybe some simulations, say for example, role plays, say for example, wherein it puts the students into, critical thinking as such. And Professor Pawan, these days we have recognized that to be a successful manager or even successful individual, what's important is good communication skills and emotional intelligence. That's very, very important. You see, today, that's very critical aspect. Uh, Keeping that in mind, we have established communication lab for the students, which is splits across term 1, term 2, and term 3, wherein their communication skills are honed. And here at IMT Nagpur, by communication skills, we don't mean only English language. No, that's not what we mean by communication. By communication, speak less and convey more. The precise, the precision we are talking about. Usage of the most apt words. Just to go back, like I say, speak less and convey more is the important thing. And another important thing is the emotional intelligence. This is one important factor that we stress more on. So keeping this emotional intelligence in mind, our OB and HR professors continuously keep striving to train the students in, like balancing their emotional intelligence or enhancing their emotional intelligence through various activities, through lab-based courses. Just to add to, before I end up on this aspect, Professor Pavan, in making the students become a holistic individuals, something beyond the obvious. That is, what is the obvious? The obvious in a B school is giving PGDM degree or MBA degree and then fetching the employment. That is the obvious. You go to any B school speaks of, offering PGDM or MBA and then fetching good employment. That is the obvious. But we think beyond the obvious. And that is where we focus more on experiential learning at IMT Nagpur. As a part of which we have established a lab-based courses. It is not something like SAG on the stage kind of teaching here at IMT Nagpur. It's completely, putting the students to the real life situations and then learning through such experiential, like labs.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are some of the things, like
So
and the creativity and the innovation we stray here.
yeah,
I think
I was about to come to that, sir. See what happens right now. Right, right now, what we are passing through is it's a lot of what do you call turbulence time and all those things. Since these turbulent times and all those things, of course, a normal classroom teaching is not possible because students are connected through online mode and everything. Now, just giving them a exercise to do or chalk and talk may not work. So somehow we at IMT Nagpur, we realized this the moment we started with this pandemic situation, and we shifted the students to their respective campuses, respective homes. And then when we did that, of course, we needed something more than chalk and talk thing. So, and then there we brought those, investment labs and then marketing labs and the leadership labs and things like that. So that way it was kind of, it was very good. Yeah. Yeah. Professor, Professor Ramadan.
Yeah, see, it's like more than chalk and talk, as you have rightly mentioned, Professor Pavan. I was just telling to you about this creativity, and the innovation at IMT Nagpur. Creativity and innovation in what? Creativity and innovation in academics. If you look at the course structures that we have, program structure that we have, and the courses we have at IMT Nagpur are highly innovative in nature and industry-based courses. As I was mentioning in the initial stage, our vision is to stay connected or offer industry-linked or industry-required management education over a period of time. And Professor Pavan, I was just also about to tell this, what we do the best for our students is, of course, we always take pride in telling about the placements at IMT Nagpur. As you have seen, we have already achieved 100% placements at IMT Nagpur. And one good thing at IMT Nagpur is the highest package has dramatically gone up
Yeah, yeah.
during this year.
I was about to,
Yeah,
want you to talk about it. This is something which is
yeah.
great for the campus.
Yes,
I think
yes.
it's 23.57 lakh, the highest
Yeah,
package which we have achieved.
yeah, 23.57 lakh. Accenture has offered 23.57 lakhs. It's tremendous transformation in placements at IMT Nagpur.
True.
And our minimum package is 8 lakhs. We never compromised anything less than 8 lakhs. And our median salary and average salary is close to 9.2, 9.3, something like that.
Very, very,
Professor
very
Pavan, I just want to translate this in terms of evaluation. I was just looking at as an individual, what is the payback period for our students at IMT now?
Yeah.
You see, for a given fees of 11.5 lakhs and with the highest salary of 23.57, the payback period is just off a year. That's all.
True. Very true. That's
It is
huge
just
rate of
off a year.
investment. Huge rate
And
of return on
yes,
investments. Yeah.
and that is the lowest payback period we have.
Yeah.
And given the lowest salary of 8 lakhs, the maximum payback period at IMT Nagpur is just 1.4 years, just
Very,
1.4 years.
very correct.
And in between, average or median payback period at IMT Nagpur is just 1.25 years.
Very
So this
correct.
is an excellence. And I have some statistics. I was just comparing this kind of return on investment to the students at IMT Nagpur, particularly in terms of the employment opportunities at IMT Nagpur. uh, ours is much better or higher than many, like B schools in the country, wherein you see like the fees have gone up drastically these days to 20 lakhs, say for example, 18 lakhs, etc., etc., and fetching still 22 lakhs as the highest package. And of course, average salary of 12 lakhs or maybe, like a minimum salary of 8 lakhs or so. So for the kind of investment that the students make here, you know, the return is excellent return at IMT Nagpur. And Professor Pavan, we are very proud to say here, despite this pandemic, we could bring in a lot of new companies to the campus. This is another important measure that a B school must have. The companies like RCCM, say for example, one of the top-notch, like a finance consulting firm, like Marico Industries, say for example, like Cognizant, these are all the new companies, Capgemini, say for example, right, and PayU, say for example, Shadi.com for that matter also came here, like which is engaged in bringing the alliances, etc. and Accenture, as I have already mentioned in here. We have close to like 15 new companies, 15 to 20 new companies which have visited our campus. And
That's great. That's great. That's great. In fact, that was a kind of the environment was like it was a very great environment out there in the campus when we were. I think we are very close to achieving 100% placement. Hardly one or two students are left to be
No,
placed.
I think that just Professor Pawan, we have already achieved 100%. Just one or two students, and those students are also, like in a dilemma whether to take up some, like family business or continue with the family business, the entrepreneurship as such. But otherwise, we have achieved 100%.
So that's something which is great to tell the aspirants that yes, this is what, and this is actually 100% placement we have achieved. Yeah.
Yes, and just to add, Professor Pawan, we have already started working for the placement of the current batch, who will be completing. So at IMT Nagpur, our placement season start much early, sometime in the month of August itself. So we are already working on that. Now that you see we have achieved 100% placement, and our focus is obviously on the next batch. Yeah. And our dream is to, number one, sustain the current placement scenario. And it's not only about sustenance, but yes, we definitely want to achieve more than the current placement track record. Our highest salary, we want to make it to be more than 25 lakhs or 28 lakhs, something like that. And we are just evaluating if we can go for minimum package of 10 lakhs instead of 8 lakhs. It's possible. You see, like the industry, there is no dearth of employment, in my opinion, as I have mentioned to you. As Center for Monitoring Indian Economy has predicted, the employment rate is poised to grow. Now, look at the manufacturing industry, which is increasing its production, like cars manufacturing, say for example, like cement manufacturing, say for example, steel manufacturing, say for example, etc. There is enough employment. It is only for the B school to tap such kind of things. And Professor Pavan, the role that any B school must play, as I have mentioned to you, is a kind of, like a catalyst role, the facilitator role. It's more of being a catalyst and a facilitator to the students community. That's why they come. The students come to in my personal opinion, Professor Pavan, the students do not join a B school only for the degree. Right? I strongly believe in that. If the aim is only the degree, there are several B schools which offer the degree. They can get the degree through correspondence as well, through distance mode as well. Right? So it's not about the degree. It's something beyond, as I have mentioned to you. So on the placement front, of course, we have already started working the placements for the current batch, current first year students. And our aim is median salary, like we want to step it up to 12 lakhs or so.
That's great.
We will try our level best, and we hope we will be able to achieve this during
now this new batch will be coming in 2022, and they would be passing out in 2024. So they kind of 2 years they will be with us. Right now, their concern is where IMT would be post 2 years, where we would be post 2 years. So, what is your dream? What is like you as a dean, where you want to take the campus to? So that is what they want to, talk to you about. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that, Professor Pavan. I was just thinking about this national education policy, new education policy announced by Government of India. Like there is no point in being complacent, for any B school. By that, I mean offering maybe the same programs, the same degree, or maybe the same salary structure, etc., etc. That, in my opinion, the moment a B school becomes a complacent, the decline starts. My personal opinion, obviously, the decline starts from the complacency. So that's how complacency is the starting point of the decline. And as far as IMT Nagpur is concerned, as I have mentioned earlier, we want to step up more of entrepreneurial activities at IMT Nagpur. This placement, etc., continues as I have mentioned to you. And we want to recognize, we want the industry or the academic world to recognize IMT Nagpur for its excellence. Excellence in what, if you ask me, excellence in academics, excellence in like services to the industry, say for example, services to the society, say for example, and as I have mentioned, entrepreneurship. We have some plans to think of some entrepreneurship based courses, separate courses for the students community. Say over the period 3 to 5 years, we also want to be known for the contribution to the growth and development of the specific domains, as I mentioned, through continuous engagement of our professors and research consultancy and collaborative activities. Professor Pavan, you must have already known, we know it pretty well, and the whole world knows how the research is taking place at IMT Nagpur. High quality research has been coming out at IMT Nagpur, particularly publishing in A-star journals of ABDC category,
Yes,
and
yes.
Scopus indexed journals, and Web of Science indexed journal. That is, of course, Professor Pavan, primarily for the professors, but students' point of view, I don't know if they would really be interested in this kind of hardcore research, because the students' focus is not the research, in my opinion. Obviously, they want to become corporate citizens. So on that front, we always want to excel in rendering our services to the industry, through consulting assignments, etc. So we have that dream.
All right. Quick questions about since you were talking about the entrepreneurs and all those things. As I told you, as I to the aspirants, that yes, we have some very good entrepreneurial ventures coming out from IMT Nagpur. People have been working on those things. Are you connected? How we connected with the alumni? So there is one event which takes place every year. That is what is called as Launch, where people from the first batch, they come and they stay there at the campus for 1 or 2 days. Can you throw some more light on how are we connected with alumni and how are they helping us in one or the other way? Quick answer, sir. Because
Yes,
we are
yeah.
reaching to the time here.
Yes. See, alumni, sir, are very promptly saying very quickly to say, we engage our alumni primarily in training and developing our students towards their career. We have one concept of mock interview and comprehensive viva examination, wherein we invite our alumni to interview our students and train them and mold them to become very good industry executive. That's one thing. And we engage our alumni in our program structure and course curriculum designing and delivery, even for that matter. We continuously engage our alumni. That is on one front. And almost all our activities are driven by our students through alumni engagement. As I was mentioning to you, we have very highly accomplished alumni. Just to quote a few, like say for example, Uday Saraf of 2008-10 batch, who is the vice president of Morgan Stanley, Composite Index, MSA. This is one of the top-notch great companies as such. So our alumni they're obviously the torch bearers of IMT Nagpur, and you can see we have the history. They continuously engage in our academic, extracurricular and co-curricular activities, and we also have alumni chapters wherein we continuously organize chapter meets, and these meetings are completely driven by our current students, not that the professors go there and do that. No, it's our students, they're driving.
Yeah. So Uday actually came and delivered a course in IMT Nagpur for I think 3 to 4 years at length.
Yes,
And there are many others as well who have been coming to. It's just not one transaction kind of thing where they come in, they get their diploma and they pass out, and there is no connectivity. But we stay connected with these people, continuously, and then we keep inviting them for so many things. What about corporate connect, Professor Ramadu? How do we kind of, what
yeah.
IMT is doing as far as the corporate connect part?
Yes, yes. As far as the corporate connect is concerned, Professor Pavan, we have already signed MOUs with many good companies, like, for example, Western Coalfields here at IMT Nagpur. And we have some MOUs in pipeline with Power Grid, with Asian Paints, etc. So on corporate connect front, as I was mentioning to you earlier, you know, we have various activities that we organize in association with the leading corporates at IMT Nagpur. Those activities are not necessarily oriented towards or meant only for the academics, as I mentioned. Sometimes these activities even spread beyond our academics, like contributing to the society, say, for example, as a part of corporate social responsibility. We, apart from this corporates, Professor Pawan, we also have tied up with many NGOs. Recently, you must have known in the last month, a month ago or so, we have entered into MOU with the Rotary Club at IMT Nagpur,
Yes, yes.
where the scope of our MOU is to render the services to the nearby villages, on various fronts of social responsibilities, corporate social responsibility as such. And another important, aspect of corporate connect is, as I have mentioned, of course, our alumni are definitely the corporates, but apart from that, we continuously engage our corporates in all our activities, because you see, as you know, we always try to bridge the gap between academia and the industry. And that's why we said, if you want your curriculum to be robust, there's no other way than getting connected with the corporate and bringing in that corporate aspects into your curriculum. That's why I say our curriculum courses, program structure, the delivery, syllabus, etc., is completely the industry driven, and they play a key role in designing the course curriculum for us. That's very critical, number one. And second thing, like delivering. See, we have various centers, like we have signed an MOU with IBM, wherein we offer, like a course uh, from IBM. IBM gives the certificate, like NSE courses, say, for example, National Stock Exchange, where we have investment lab established at IMT Nagpur. And apart from that, from on academic fronts, we also offer, like Harvard Business School programs. Like we facilitate the students, we provide all support to the students to register for those programs. We deliver the classes, and we support them as such. So things go on, Professor Pawan. As far as the corporate connect is concerned, we have very strong corporate connect at IMT Nagpur, as it is proven by several activities. Due to the paucity of the time, I'm not able to tell all these activities. Otherwise, look at the events that we conduct, like, for example, Voyage, say, for example, like international conclave, say, for example, etc., whatnot. We have plenty of the activities we have.
Plethora of activities we have been offering at IMT Nagpur things. Anyways, so before I take the questions, Professor Ramadu, I just would like to throw some light on, we have multiple accreditations and tie-ups with the foreign institutions. Are these things that are actually helping us in enhancing the quality of, the delivery, the content, the things like that in IMT? I would like you to speak
Yeah,
something
yeah,
quick.
obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes. My answer is definitely yes, absolutely, no doubt about it. Because you see, self-certification is not valid these days, Professor Pawan. You may be in an excellent B school or highly accomplished B school or an individual, but that self-certification is not valid. See, these accreditations actually helped us in putting things in place, particularly ensuring the quality. Assurance of the quality is very important. The quality in terms of the relevant program structure, relevant courses, say for example, number one. And contents, as I mentioned, quality in terms of the contents, and the quality in terms of the delivery, and the quality in terms of like grading system. You see, in my opinion, Professor Pavan, placement is just a derivative, in my opinion. As long as you have excellent system in place, placement by default is supposed to take place, in my personal opinion, right? So therefore, these accreditations, we have NBA accreditation, say for example, now which talks about the highest standards of the quality of the education at IMT Nagpur. And we have already gone through the mill of SACS accreditation and AACS accreditation. Just peer team visit is due anytime in the next couple of months or so. And SACS accreditation team has already visited, and the decision is pending, and very, very hopeful that we get. Once we are accredited, that speaks of the quality, obviously, because if you look into the process of this accreditation, it's a foolproof. Definitely, it's a foolproof, and it's more of like a value adding in nature. It's more of facilitating the value addition to the institution. Accreditation is not a fault finding process for that matter. It's more of value. So we derived a lot of value by this NBA accreditation and the process of SACS and the process of AACSB. And that's one good thing, that we have all systems and processes in place at IMT Nagpur.
That's great, Professor Madhu. Now, I'll take one or two quick questions, and then I have one probably last question left for you.
Yeah.
So, one candidate has asked, how can IMT be a catapult in making a career jump? What kind of support we can provide to these aspirants? And I think that's a question which everybody might be having in their mind. Yeah. Would you like to throw some light on it, sir?
See, that depends upon the career objective that the student has. As I mentioned in the initial stage, it's very important for the students' community to articulate very specifically as to what he or she wants to become in life, as I have mentioned. If the objective of the students is to become entrepreneur, our focus on the student would be more on bringing out the latent skills in the student to make him or her as the entrepreneur than training the candidate for the employment. You see, the mechanism that's involved for becoming an entrepreneur and like seeking the job is totally different, in my opinion. It's different in my opinion. See, IMT Nagpur always stands by the students community in fulfilling their dreams that they cherish most in their mind. The support system, if you talk about, as I have mentioned, we have excellent faculty support, staff support, infrastructural facilities support for that matter. Not only during the 2 years of MBA program, as I have mentioned, it's beyond even. Professor Pawan say, for example, I keep getting emails from some of the students, past our students, some 3 years, 5 years back students, facing some problems there in the industry. Even on some personal fronts, say, for example, we never hesitate to, support the candidates. That's how we call it bondage, that emotional connect, That's what we call the bondage. It's not just a 2 years of bondage. It's more than, the legal marriage, I can tell you, at time for that matter. It's not just, like a 2 years engagement. It's a lifelong engagement at time.
Okay, yeah. So just one last question before I take one or two more questions. Professor Ramadou, is IMT Nagpur ready to face the challenges being thrown by these turbulent timings and this pandemic, uncertain situations, things like that?
Yeah, definitely. We have already proven, Professor Pavan.
Yeah.
We already have been facing challenges and dealing with those challenges, difficulties, and we never compromised on value addition to the students community. Like teaching, learning, we never compromised on that, number one. and how we are prepared to face these challenges, probably due to this pandemic. As we know very well, this pandemic doesn't have any exit plan in near future. Could be in terms of the delivery mechanism. We have excellent IT facilities to deliver the best to the students community, number one. And number two, we always encourage, entertain the students even through emails and through telephonic conversations, for example, to clarify the doubts, to guide them on the projects, say, for example, and going beyond even online classes to help the students community. And second thing, as far as our campus is concerned, we have 100% vaccinated employees, all professors and the staff completely, because we made it a policy that if an employee is not completely vaccinated, cannot enter to the campus. You know, we have already made it. So that's that way the campus is 100% safe. And we also invited Professor Pavan, the students, some 3 to 4 months back, sometime in the month of November or December, because the pandemic was subsided, and we called the students, and we are expecting to call the students back. We are meant to call the students anytime, maybe in the next month or so, back to the campus. We have all safety measures, and our professors are geared for any kind of challenges. Ultimately, you see, it is the professors who will have to face the challenges. Administrative support is there, 100% administrative support is there to the professors, but our professors are completely geared for any kind of challenge, no doubt about it.
That's great. That's great, and very kind of comforting for all those aspirants there listening to us. Uh, Pranjali, are there any more questions which we can address? Apurva, Pranjali, if let's just wait for.
Yeah,
No, sir. I
yes.
think there's
Sure.
Sir,
nothing.
there are two questions that I have sent you. Can you please
Yeah.
check?
Yeah, one is how can IMT be a catapult in marketing, making a career jump? That is one I have received. Another one, can you resend it?
Sure, sir.
Yeah, or you can read it for me. I'll Professor Ramadu would. You can read it for
Sure.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
one
Pranjali.
question is, what is the CMAT cutoff for Nagpur and Hyderabad campus?
Yeah, I think that's not the right
Professor Pavan, I think
platform.
you are the right person to talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. See, we can definitely, I can talk about that. See, last year, the cutoff was 85 percentile for CMAT. This year, since the applications are still coming, the forms are still open, so I cannot comment on that. But last year, it was 85%. Yes. Yes, Pranjali.
Sir, I think no more questions then.
Perfect. Then, thank you very much, Pranjali, and thank you very much for all the background support. Thank you, Professor Ramadu. Any parting kind of comments? We still have got 2 minutes with us. Quickly, if you can close
Yeah,
out.
thank you. Only the comment is, my suggestion to the prospective students is, number one, never to hesitate invest in MBA program. Definitely, if you ask me, this is the best time to invest 2 years in MBA right now. And the economy is poised to grow, no doubt about it. Employment is poised to grow. There are already signs of employment rate enhancement in the country and across the globe. And the third point to the students, seeking to get into IMT Nagpur is come with completely the open mind as such. We don't want any super intelligence from the students as such. It's just enough if the students come with the open mind, and we are here to mold the students community as such. And we at IMT Nagpur, as I mentioned to you, uh, believe in more of facilitation role, more of mentoring role, like than being only the teachers. We believe in that, and even beyond the 2 years period. That's what I was just mentioning. So all the best to you. All the best to the students community, the prospective MBA students.
Thank you, Professor Amadou. Thank you very much for joining us, sharing your views about it. And closing, my only suggestion, my only advice to all these people, aspirants, is no decision is a good or a bad decision. Professor Sri Harsha from IMT Hyderabad also pointed out this thing. Uh, it's up to you how you make it a right decision or a wrong decision. So taking admission or not taking admission, that is purely yours. Well, the only thing IMT group or IMT family, IMT fraternity can do is to add a lot of value to what you are today. That's all from IMT Nagpur side. I would now be handing over the things to IMT Ghaziabad team. Dr. Virdi, all yours. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Raman. Professor.
Thank you, Professor Pavan, and thank you, Ms. Pranjali, and thank you, Preeti. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Professor yeah. Professor Vishal, good afternoon. All the best to you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Jain. Thank you, Dr. Madhu. I'm Professor Preeti Virdi of Marketing Faculty at IMT Ghaziabad, and I'll be the moderator for the session today. For this special session, we are joined with Dr. Vishal Talvar, Ms. Gayatri Verma, and Dr. Barnali Chakladhar. With a great pleasure, I introduce Dr. Vishal Talvar, Director, IMT Ghaziabad. Dr. Talvar has paved the way for excellence in academics in Indian and international institutions for more than a decade now. Prior to joining IMT Ghaziabad, Sir held the positions of Dean School of Management at BML Munjal University, Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship at BML Munjal University, Assistant Dean, EMBA and BBA programs, and Head of Campus at SPGN School of Global Management, having done his PhD from Manchester Business School. So was associated with Henley Business School and London School of Economics as a faculty. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks.
Along with Dr. Vishal, we have, and I warmly welcome Ms. Gayatri Verma. She's an esteemed IMT alumnus. Ms. Gayatri has been an exceptional HR professional for nearly 3 decades with experience in healthcare, technology, IT, ITS, telecom, BFSI, I name it, and it'll be there. She's held various global leadership roles, including Vice President at Human Capital Strategic Initiatives at United Health Group, Chief People Officer, Mobile Telecom Services for India and South Asia at Bharti Airtel, Vice President and Head at Human Resource India, Middle East and Africa for all Amex businesses. Having been widely acknowledged for her business acumen, she was voted amongst the India's best HR leadership by Human Factor magazine and was also conferred the Women's Super Achiever Award at the World HRD Congress. So during her career, she has helped businesses reinvent and transform themselves to achieve growth and scale. She's a strong believer in learning and action as being the road to growth and self-development. And along with this, Ms. Gayatri is an avid gardener and has recently taken up to terrace gardening for her vegetables. And thank you, Ms. Gayatri, for agreeing to talk to the MBA aspirants. Along with us, we have highly welcome Dr. Barnali Chakladhar. She is a professor and area chair in finance at IMT Ghaziabad. She has 25 years of experience in teaching and has taught in Indian and international institutions like IMI Delhi, IIM Lucknow, Noida campus, SPGN Singapore campus, Euromid Management Institute, France, Christian University, Austria. And Dr. Barnali is also the admissions chairperson at IMT Ghaziabad. A warm welcome to you, Dr. Barnali. I also welcome all the aspirants. I also welcome all the aspirants to the special session at the IMT Connect series. And with this, with a brief introduction of the participants, I'll start with the fireside or the talk, and I'll open the session with you, Dr. Talvar. And I'm very sure the IMT aspirants want to know that with around 40 years to a legacy of IMT Ghaziabad's campus, what value system makes IMT what it is today?
Thank you very much, Preeti. I thought I'll just have a few slides, to be able to highlight and pinpoint exactly what we are all about. And before I do that, thank you so much for a very kind introduction. I would like to introduce you as well, Dr. Virdi. You're someone who's for everyone else, she's a faculty in marketing. She's someone who's done a PhD from IIT Bombay and is someone who's playing a very important role for us, apart from the others on the panel today, to try and highlight a lot of aspects of IMT Ghaziabad so that you can make your decisions, in the right earnest and the right kind of, thought process. So to go back to your question, thank you very much for the question. We all know that IMT Ghaziabad has a legacy of 40 years, and this legacy is something which was built on a fundamental principle, and the fundamental principle relies around this whole concept of practical management education. Sri Mahendranath, who was the founder of our institution, his main objective was to ensure that the business school or an educational institution, management institution in this case, has to be able to deliver very practically led management education, which is easily applicable and contributes to the wider society as well as to practice, effectively. And that's essentially been our founding principle. If you look at what we've been doing for the last 40 years, if you look at a vision as a whole, we've been grooming leadership through innovation, social impact, of course, in the right form of implementation and execution as well. We've got some of the best faculty in India and abroad who not only inspire in the classroom, but also are able to inspire a lot of groundbreaking research, not only from an Indian perspective, but also from an international perspective. If you look at the kind of publications they've had, you'll realize that a lot of them are actually being able to contribute to thought in the international arena. If I look at a large base of alumni and they're visibly, there contributing to society, contributing to business in equal measure, we have one of them today with us, Ms. Gayatri Verma, who will be able to talk a little bit further about, her opinion. Our programs and courses, once again, leading from this whole perspective of management education, which is practically driven. Our courses are benchmarked internationally, and we have fantastic international business schools and universities as our partners. There's a lot of energy and potential, and of course, achievement as well at IMT. And that's something that keeps driving us, whether that be the leadership, whether that be the faculty, whether that be anybody associated with the school, including the alumni, to be able to contribute more and more and more. These are things that drive us. And fundamentally, if I want to link up this whole concept to what you were speaking about, the overall vision per se, what we've been able to do, I think fundamentally at the core, what drives us was wanting to be able to create transformation. We would like to create transformation. We've been doing that for the last many years. And this transformation is to be able to create a lot of realistic change, a lot of implementable change in the students who pass through the gates of IMT every year. And that's something that always drives us. Going forward, I will talk a little bit about how contribution at the individual level, the transformation to the students at the individual level has changed, and how we do it. But fundamentally, that's what drives us, to be able to contribute at the individual level to every student, irrespective of the course, who passes through the gates of IMT. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And with this, because you're talking about transformation, I'd like to ask, what do you think of IMT Ghaziabad's future because of the transformative changes as we're talking about? How do you think about it in the future?
Well, if I look at it from a future perspective, I think what we have to remember here is that a lot of things are actually changing. If I look at what's happening around us, whether that be in terms of blended learning opportunities, whether that be in terms of technology, whether that be in terms of this whole concept of continuous learning. A lot of these things are fundamentally changing how educational institutions, how business schools actually think about themselves, how they think about their students, their participants, their faculty, their staff, their officers, their alumni. The core promise doesn't change. The core promise essentially remains to be able to offer learning that is practical, that is transformable, not only being able to create business impact, but also social impact. That remains a constant. So that's the core promise. But I think what is changing, and something that factors into our vision as we go forward, is the learning experience, right? Is how the learning happens, how the learning can change, how we move away from this whole idea of being the sage on the stage to the guide on the side. A lot of those aspects are part of the vision as we go forward. I think as business schools, as good business schools, as premier business schools, we are in the right platform, we are in a very good position to be able to contribute to that learning experience. Learning is moving into a continuous system wherein it's not just about essentially doing a degree or a diploma and forgetting everything else. Learning has to move on as we go forward. Learning when you're required to learn. IMT is well placed to be able to contribute to that as well, not only to its students who are studying at this current moment or who intend to study in the future, but also to a lot of our alumni going forward. The pedagogies, right? How do we relate to our students? How do we convey learning to our students? How do we engage the students? How do we measure the outcomes? A lot of that is something that we have to keep looking at. We fundamentally believe that yes, a major aspect of our existence is to be able to enhance placeability and placement outcomes. But by and large, I think that's one very important output of this whole process. Everything else is around what we put in, not only from a perspective of business. We would be strongly engaging. We already have a lot of deep industry engagement. We just need to be able to take it a few notches higher. We need to be able to ensure that that's at the international level. How do we emulate a lot of industry engagement that happens in a country like the US, right? Or the triple helix model that they actually adopt, wherein the government, the private practice, as well as the educational institutions actually work very closely and cohesively together to be able to create the right levels of industry engagement. Our focus will be on entrepreneurship and innovation as well as an important element of what our students do going forward once they move on from IMT Ghaziabad. Because remember, a lot of students, and we've noticed that a lot of students would love to be able to create something for themselves, would love to move away from job consumption into job production. And that's something that, we are committed to be able to help, mentor, facilitate as we go forward. Apart from that, what you also have to remember is that as part of the future vision for IMT, which is already happening as we speak, is this whole concept of the MBA 4.0, very similar to Industry 4.0. What happens in the Industry 4.0? Every change that has been brought in, it is nothing new. Changes have happened over the last many years. The Industry 1.0, people were worried. Industry 2.0, people were worried about jobs. Industry 3.0, they were worried. The only issue here is that in Industry 4.0, because of the level of automation and a lot of robotics and machine learning, what have you, a lot of this is actually changing how even business schools are looking at their management education as they go forward. Nowadays, machines don't necessarily need individuals to do a good job. Till about Industry 3.0, the mechanization, automation, computerization was helping people do a better job. And Industry 4.0, machines don't need people to do a better job. So what do you do? Management education will change going forward. We see a lot of technology infusing into management education. We see a lot of liberal orientations infusing into management education. That's what I call as MBA 4.0. If you allow an academic to keep speaking about the vision, he'll carry on and on. But I just wanted to convey this right now.
We'd like to listen to whatever you say all the time, sir. But it's a very good point that you mentioned about change. And as everybody's aware, the last 2 years have been difficult, and we've seen changes in different aspects in management and the way the world's moving. So how has IMT Ghaziabad coped up with teaching, the online teaching methodology? And how does change look like going forward in the, so I'm talking about the academics per se right now.
Well, look, I believe that, COVID-19, as people call it, was the biggest change agent that ever happened. We as academic institutions, we as higher education institutions knew that we had to change. We as higher education institutions knew for a long time that things would need to be rather different in how we related, how we conveyed ourselves, how we essentially helped learning, how we contributed transformation, pedagogies. But suddenly, overnight, we had to make that change. Let me tell you, IMT Ghaziabad has done a very good job, a fantastic job, because of the kind of faculty we have. who and the support structure to be able to tide over this change. Has it been easy? No, because of the fact that on one fine day, all of a sudden you're moving on from a physical world into an online world without having a choice. I remember a time when we used to keep thinking, hey, that's fine, we'll come back to the offline mode in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And little did we know that it's almost 2 years and we'll still be doing a webinar like this at the moment. So it's required a lot of learning. It's required a lot of training. It's required a lot of upgrading from the faculty side. It's required a very different approach to not only doing what they were doing in the classroom earlier physically, but actually having to make a lot of changes in terms of engagement, in terms of interaction, in terms of assessment, in terms of a completely different orientation to how learning happens. Remember, when you're learning in the online mode, learning has to be more constructivist in its orientation. Learning comes along from the discussion, the interaction, the engagement, the reflection that you have in the classroom, and not necessarily based around a text. Attention spans are lower. Automatically, if you don't create the right kind of learning environment in the online mode, a constructivist environment where the discussion is leading to the aha moments, the discussion is leading to how I link up on the context to the concept, that requires a lot of modification. That requires a lot of modification, not only on the faculty side, technology side, but also on the student side. We are very happy to say that if you look at the outcomes, if you look at the assessments, if you look at the various measures that we use to be able to judge, how students have progressed over a period of time, we're happy to tell you that we've coped rather well in the online space.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for those insights. And because I'm teaching, so I understand that online is very different from the offline environment, and we are doing our best to be as interactive and experiential as possible. So another aspect to MBA, as was also mentioned by the earlier sessions, is the industry engagement. And how does IMT Ghaziabad look at it, the industry engagement, and especially in this current environment?
Well, we've always been rather strong in the industry engagement space. What you have to remember is that largely from an Indian context perspective, it's what you have to realize is that for business schools across the sphere, across the horizon, industry interaction has predominantly been around being able to create the right level of successful placement outcomes, jobs, salaries, packages, getting into the right companies, right organizations. But the fact is that there's so much more that can actually be done. And there's so much more that we, as IMT Ghaziabad, realized much earlier that the industry academic interaction can be taken to very different levels altogether. So whether that be not just limiting to guest sessions in the classroom, not just limiting to essentially doing possibly 5% in a course, right? But actually bringing in a lot of the industry to tell us, okay, how are we doing as far as our learning is concerned? How are we doing as far as a course development is concerned? What else then can we contribute to, which is actually important to you as industry? Where's industry actually going? Having a lot of engagement, interaction with them to be able to help in that aspect, that piece. So that's one major element that we work on. The other element that we work on is mentoring, right? So through the alumni system, we have a mentoring philosophy where students not only get mentored by the faculty when they come in and for the 2 years they're with us, but also with the alumni. Our alumni have been going places. Our alumni have been visibly contributing a great deal to business. If you look at LinkedIn, you'll see a number of alumni who've been making waves. How do these alumni help in experience sharing? That's something that we actually do a great deal. We have a formalized process where this actually happens. At the same time, we have a Center for Enterprise and Business Improvement. And this center essentially realizes that we need to work with the industry, whether that be small, whether that be large, whether that be private, whether that be public, whether that be, for the service of mankind, like an NGO, we have to work with them to solve real world problems. We have to work with them to solve real world problems because, one, we should. The other is it helps create much better corporate leaders of the future. So our Center for Enterprise and Business Improvement actually works, with small and large enterprises. It identifies problems. It works with a set of faculty as well as students to be able to help solve some of these issues and problems. At the same time, what you have to remember is going forward, and sabbaticals and exchanges should not be viewed as a phenomenon wherein academics possibly go across, to another university abroad. That's a system we have, and that's a system we encourage. But I think it's important that a lot of migration, a lot of cross-pollination of this kind should happen with the industry as well. So these are the various measures that we take to be able to help. Cases that need to be written are written along with the industry, because those cases need to be relevant, they need to be contextual, they need to be updated. At the same time, we're also moving in that direction of working with gaming technologies, and that also requires us to ensure that we work with the industry, we work with industry players to help in that regard.
Very rightly, sir. And we have design thinking, and we have courses which are more industry engaging. And just adding
Absolutely.
to what you said.
Absolutely, yeah.
And since you mentioned about our alum interaction, I'd now question Ms. Gayatri Verma. I'll just move on to her. That since you've been in industry for around 3 decades, I request you to share your academic and professional journey with the aspirants. Also, what got you into the HR function, and being an alumnus of IMT Ghaziabad, how did it mold you and your career? Over to you, Ms. Gayatri.
Thank you. I'll just say it's an absolute honor and privilege to be here. So just want to say a thank you, Dr. Talvar, to you, Professor Banali, and Dr. Virdi for having me here. I will at the outset say that I'm a very proud alumnus of the Institute. Like you said, I passed out in 1993. So, it's almost 3 decades of experience. But, let me share with you, my academics background is in sciences, but my career has been in HR. So I started out, I did my engineering from BITS Pilani. My first job was writing software code, and I didn't enjoy it one bit. I mean, I'm telling you, I used to literally drag myself to work every single day. And the minute I got my admission, at IMT to do my MBA, I almost ran to do it. It was like my great escape of sorts. Today, when I talk with peers, I realized this was a similar situation for a lot of people at that time. But today, when I'm looking at these young MBA aspirants or the younger generation, they kind of know their chosen path in school itself. So clearly there is a huge difference in the way people embrace careers. Mine was slightly different. Now, when I came to IMT, that's where I realized I matured, I evolved, and I realized that my passion and my strength lay with people, right? Working with people, interacting with them, etc. And even at a time when HR was still largely known as a personnel function, I chose to specialize in HR. So I'm very grateful that despite that there were very few students opting for it, IMT still had a full-fledged program around it. I did it. And I do think I kind of benefited from this, what I call my meandering path of academics a little bit. My counsel or comment back to these, young MBA aspirants is education is critical. It's the foundation to how you really start out. But what differentiates you finally is your experiences. It's your experiences at work and also life situations. So, I believe I specialized in HR, but having pushed myself to do, the wide, diverse experience that I picked up across industries, I think sort of helped me. The fact that I pushed myself, I didn't work for one kind of organization. And I think that kind of was extremely helpful the way I look at it. So, if you ask me, IMT was a place that in a way set me up professionally as well as personally. I found my passion in HR. I also met my husband, Vix, on campus. So, the way I look at it, it's been a rewarding 30 years that really started there.
Wonderful. So we didn't know about the last bit. Thank you for that information. Also, because you were mentioning about leadership and how to, how it led to the growth, I'd like to, add on and ask you, what are your personal experiences and learnings that you can share with participants so they come, you held the helm of affairs of so many organizations, so they emulate you or they become leaders in their own sense. Some learnings, ma'am.
So I'm going to try. This may be a slightly longish answer. Sometimes it's hard to compress so many years of learning, but I'll try and share a few nuggets, specifically around personal learnings as I've had. I'll use some examples and illustrations, and I'll also share some, aspects around leadership per se. So I believe that I benefited from having my own self-development approach, right? And each one of us needs to develop it. So I benefited where I would push myself to get out of my comfort zone. So I will give you an example. We all know that at the end of the year, we write a formal performance appraisal. Every year, and for 30 years, I've done not just that, but I've also updated my resume. Now, somebody could ask me why I was doing it. Was I really looking for another job? No, because of my 30 years, 25 years was spent in 3 organizations only. So I've had very long stints in organizations. The reason I did that was because I wanted to keep the bar very high for myself, saying every year, am I adding new skills? Am I adding new capabilities, right? And I think that kind of helped me. And I thought I wanted to, share that tip back with this group. The other thing that, I think is helpful is be fearless. We will never know everything. It's just not possible because there is so much of a complex world out there. We won't know it. But I strongly recommend is just say yes, even if you're feeling shaky about an assignment, feeling shaky about a project. Because what I find is that fear actually spurs you, it motivates you to find out more, learn more, even be humble and seek help. And you kind of end up being a better individual, so to speak. I have an interesting example to share. And this is a colleague of mine from one of my organizations, and fairly senior in the field of HR. And she told me, I'm very intentional about my career. And I said, explain to me, what does that mean? And she said, when I take a new role, the first 10 days, I focus on getting the broad structure of that role in place. How do I need to do it? What do I need? Where's my team, etc. And she says, after that, I deliver in that role, but I think about my next role. And that was truly an aha moment for me to say, wow, the more senior you become, we know it takes 12 to 18 months to not just settle into a role, but start delivering against it before you say, okay, I'm looking for my next move, so to speak. And here I had this fairly senior person telling me 10 days into a new role, I'm thinking my next one. So I told her, I said, why do you do it? Isn't it distracting for you? And she said, no. She said, because it helps me it helps me shape the conversations that I want for my next move. I start reaching out to those people. I start talking to them. I start creating a personal recollection in their minds about who I am, what I'm doing. So in a way, she said, it helps me create my own leadership development strategy. So, my tip back here on this one is live with intention, both at work and at home. The other thing that I would, and this is my personal example, is I would say be intentional about choices you make, because there is so much, a career spans 30, 35, 40 years. There's no way you'll be able to have it all. So think about what you want to do at what stage. Life stages will be different. I'll give you my own personal example. I have 2 young adults. I have 2 children. They are young adults today. But I was at the, what I call those very hard years of a career, and my kids were very young. And I was ambitious. I will acknowledge it. So I chose, because it takes a village to raise kids and a family, I chose to co-opt a very large extended support system, parents on both sides and so on and so forth. And that worked for me, which means I could always show up for the big meetings, the big trips, the big whatever, because I knew my my family was cared for in a way. Yet I will also tell you, the guilt never goes away. The guilt stayed with me, but I would remind myself, this is a choice I have made. Flip that, I know a lot of other people who have made different choices to say, this is a time I want to spend only with my family and I don't want to do anything else. And that also works. So I think the comment that I'm making here is, please be okay with choices that you make and be comfortable with them. Now let's look at leadership. I know, Preeti, you talked of, providing some tips around leadership. And when I say this, somebody could say, why are you talking about it now, right? We are just starting out. We're going to do our MBAs where, maybe we're a little bit far away from being a leader or leading teams. My comment back is, having direct reports does not make you a leader. A true mark of a leader is having followership. And you can do that right now as well as you walk into an MBA institute, because what is followership about? It is about being able to engage teams, influence them, drive change, drive new thinking. And you can do that with your colleagues, your batchmates, because if people look up to you for judgment and advice, you have actually created followership for yourself, so to speak. So I would say leadership is a privilege. It's not an entitlement. So I would encourage each one of you to think about it and say, what is your mark of followership and leadership that you want to create? And in closing, Dr. Vidya, I know this has been a fairly long answer to your question, is be kind to yourself. This is something that I will acknowledge, I'm a very poor example of it, because I am a perfectionist. So, I will make a lot of effort. I'll keep the bar very high, but it's hard. It causes burnout. And today I can tell you, after a career of, 30 years, it's okay. People understand that there will be times when things don't work. So it's all right to forgive and forget, as I call it, a little bit, and be kind to yourself. Dr. Virdi, back to you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gayatri. We do not mind the long answers because they're very insightful. So taking 2 points from what you said, you talked about making choices, and you also talked about followership. So I believe that leads to making yourself as a personal brand. So you as a brand, you've held it, you've hold your good, and you have a substantial amount of followership because of your leadership. How did this journey go about, and how do our aspirants or the students who are coming into the MBA program look at it? So something if you can add.
And thank you. I think this is a great question for the MBA aspirants, where they are at this point in time. And I'd ask each one of them to reflect for a second. Do they remember somebody who made a huge impression on them? Even if that interaction was brief. And if you think and try and ask yourself back, what is it about that person that stays with you? And when I ask this question of groups, often the answer I hear is, it was the way they carried themselves, it was the way they dressed, it was the positivity they exuded, it was sometimes what they said and when they said. So clearly, how we show up, in every interaction is part of our personal brand. The way I see it is, I see there are two elements of how you build your brand. One is what I call hygiene factors. And all of you would know this, and I don't want to belabor it, but things like, are you appropriately dressed for the occasion? Are you engaging appropriately? What are your non-verbals in the interaction? So on and so forth. Are you listening versus being distracted with your device? I could go on and on. But we're all smart people, and we know what those basics are. I will talk of the second aspect, which is, over time, what is it that you are known for as a professional? Today, and I'll share this with a degree of vulnerability as well. Today, if you poll, teams that have worked with me, client groups that have worked with me, business leaders who've interacted with me over the years, and say, give us a few sound bites about Gayatri. Here are some of the comments you will hear back. You will hear things like, she has an eye for detail. You will hear she's extremely passionate about what she does. She's very driven. She always delivers. She brings disruptive thinking to the table. Now, this has happened over time. I can tell you, I was a very sorry start, not because I didn't have the right elements. I was not aware about something called personal brand and how do I need to invest, and build in that entire piece. So the reason I'm saying this is college aspirants, MBA aspirants, young professionals can start as early as now, because how you show up and interact with your batchmates and your colleagues is in a way starting how your brand is built. I'll give you an example. I worked for an organization, so multinational, global, known for its people practices, etc. And they had an amazing what I call performance appraisal system. And I'm sorry, I'm going to share this example because it will bring home the point of personal brand, right? And their performance appraisal system sat on a goal delivery, which is for everything that you did. How did you do against your goals? But for each of your goal delivery, also a leadership component. So they had what we call the G and the L rating. And as HR, I have access to, obviously we look at data, we look at performance across teams, etc. And once I found a very, very unique performance rating, which I'd never seen before. It was a G1, which is exceeds on goal delivery, walking on water literally, and an L4, which is falls short and does not meet any expectation of leadership. And I thought it was a typo. So I walked up to the supervisor and said, hey, I've seen this rating for this individual. Are you sure it's the correct rating? And the leader said, I spent a lot of time reflecting on this rating before I gave it, and it is the correct rating because this individual has delivered everything of the what, right? The project was on time, we got what we know, audit, whatever it was. But this person fell short of the how he carried his teams with him, how he kept stakeholders updated. We needed to get involved, so much to get it done. And I know I'm calling this out just to make a point that it's not about the what only, but personal brand is really about the how. So, it's a moment of reflection for, all of us to say, are we continuing to invest and build on our personal brand appropriately? Like I'm telling you, when I started out, I didn't have that awareness or understanding. I had some basic thing of who I wanted to be, right? I knew I wanted to be the consummate professional. I knew I wanted to be someone who always delivers with quality. And these are not fancy words. They held me in good stead for a while till I became aware and figured out that, hey, there's something called personal brand, and what is it that I want to be known for? So, like I said, it's about ensuring that you are not just an employee ID, but you're known for who you become. That really is a differentiator for your personal brand.
Very well said, ma'am. This is very insightful, and I believe the aspirants and MBA students will take this into heed because this is what makes us us. And I'll ask you something which is off the track from personal branding. So you mentioned that it takes a village to raise a family, to raise children. Also, you said that you are very ambitious. You were very ambitious, and currently also. Being a woman in the workplace, how has that been? Have you seen a change in that? And what do you talk? How would you tell about to the women in the aspirant cycle pool, and they want to come on board to the MBA? Any lessons for them?
Lots. I'll try and keep it sharp. The answer is sharp, but I'll start out by saying that this is relevant for the entire audience. I know today we have a lot of men in the group as well, and please note that each one of you, as you walk into organizations, you'll see both men and women on teams. You will be leaders at some point in time, which means you will have women on your teams that you lead. So I would suggest that just because we've used women as the question, please don't zone out. Stay tuned into some of the conversation that we're going to have. So Dr. Vidhi, going back to a little bit of how this started, I would say that, gender equality was an unstated, unmet need in the 90s. The good thing is today it is a stated value in every organization, and that's happened because there are obviously more women in the workplace. There's way more awareness, etc. And organizations have realized that the differences that exist between men and women, and they are behavioral differences. It brings and complements and brings together great outcomes for organization success. And so therefore, I'll probably respond by talking of what are some of those different strengths that women bring to the table that makes the workplace so much more balanced. So, I will say this, that, women tend to drive themselves much more. They're harsher with themselves, they are perfectionists, and now that's great because it ups performance, it ups competence and everything else. I'll be honest and say there is a flip side to it. So I have seen in organizations that every time a new role is posted, in general, and please note I'm generalizing, in general, if men have 60% of or the criteria met, they will apply for the role. Women will match themselves against the role so perfectly. If they don't meet more than 90-95% of the criteria, they don't even apply. So like I'm trying to tell you, there are strengths. The same things, if we're not aware, can also become our Achilles heel. And I wanted to call that out. In large, complex assignments, projects, we have found that women are better at inspiring and transforming attitudes and beliefs. So, if there's likely to be dissonance in a large, complex assignment or project, you will find that women tend to work their way through the threads of that complexity and drive better, more positive outcomes. So better engagement, better productivity as well. We also find that women, and I will say parents, so I'm not just saying men don't have this, women and parents develop a very strong nurturing instinct. So higher EQ, therefore they tend to coach teams better. We find better outcomes, when they're leaders, etc. But, while we're on this topic, I will say that, for women, networking is an opportunity. It does not come to them naturally. So what happens as a result is that they don't give it the due importance that they should. They just find it, maybe sometimes not as important. Some find it manipulative, political, and I'll share my example at the end. It comes in your way. So, you said, what is your comment back to the aspirants? My comment back is, please be comfortable in the position that you have earned, in the prowess and the skills that you bring to the table. You are competent. The point and difficulty is in seeing yourself as competent. So don't seek validation at every step. You don't need to constantly prove yourself. Be fearless, pursue your careers. And that is why, if you notice, organizations, when they're realizing that the pyramid is like this, that we find a lot of women at junior to mid management, and then it starts tapering. That's why there is awareness to say, not just there, but even at board levels, we want this balanced thinking and skills to come to bear. So yeah, I think that was a lot to share, but I'm very passionate about finding success and more women successful at the workplace.
So this was very insightful, ma'am. Also, because we at IMT Ghaziabad want to have a good ratio of students who are male and female ratio, and as you said, they are more perceptive, they have more EQ. We want to leverage, in the industry should leverage that. Ma'am, I just want to know if you have any parting thoughts for the aspirants, because
I could go on and on. I just want to say, please note that, you were kind when you gave my introduction, but I have made lots of mistakes in my career. So that is natural. I'm as human as it gets. So, just wanted to make mention of that. And, one of the big opportunities for me was I learned that I needed a network of mentors and coaches the very hard way. I walked into my career with a very simplistic approach, saying, I'll work hard, I'll perform well, my work will get recognized, and I will progress. And yes, that is the basics. It is required. I just got fortunate that someone spotted my potential early on, helped me navigate. The corporate world is very, very complex. So just helped me navigate that, pushed me to take more challenging assignments. And then I figured out how this actually works. So just want you to know that it is essential. So please keep that in mind, and you can start right away. Networks that come easily are not the most beneficial. So the comment and closing comment is, you will have to invest time in building them. Those relationships which are more complex will yield you far greater benefit as you navigate your career. So I know I've taken a fair amount of time, but it was great, and thank you for having me once again and these questions.
Yeah, it was our privilege because we heard such insightful sessions. Thank you so much, Ms. Gayatri. And because you talked about a lot about the networking, and you talked about the alumni strength, so taking this alumni strength forward, I'd like to question Dr. Talvar that when we talk about MBA education, and as IMT Hyderabad and Nagpur have also mentioned about it, placements have become very crucial because it's the learning that has been imparted to utilizing that learning into opportunities and leveraging on that. How does IMT Ghaziabad go about it, and how are the placements at IMT Ghaziabad?
Thank you. I think that's a very, very relevant question, and it's something that is obviously very important to everyone. Before that, I just want to quickly mention, Ms. Verma, it was a pleasure listening to you, and I wanted to highlight the fact that as a part of experiential learning, as a part of this whole process of ensuring that students are ready for the industry, or ready for being superiorly employed. We do a lot of training programs, and some of these training programs are around gender sensitization, are around this whole idea of having specific capsules meant for both women and men, to be able to acclimatize them in terms of what they expect, should they be going about things, what are the constraints which they might face, what are the intrinsic constraints that might exist which might deter them from possibly capitalizing on their opportunities. And in fact, with Ms. Verma, who's an important alumni of ours, and with other colleagues of ours, we're actually curating programs in this direction as well. Now, coming back to this point about placements, placement is something which is absolutely key. It is important, and it is something that we focus on a great deal. Now, remember, the placement is not a question of these 17 days that you see here. It's not just about the fact that we've been able to place 517 students or whatever in 17 days, possibly with the highest package of 62, with an average CTC of 15.28. But more importantly, what is also important for you to look at is the top 20% average, or top 10% average, which is 24.99 and 21.80. Now, these are obviously on the back of COVID, and hopefully fingers crossed, we possibly are seeing the last of COVID, but we don't know. The fact is, it's come on the back of COVID, come out from the shadows of COVID. But as I was mentioning earlier, placement is not just about a magical placement week, possibly towards the end of the year, but it's about a lot of grind and hard work that happens right from day one. Right from day one of your existence within IMT Ghaziabad, the elements that you have to work on, the technical aspects, the softer aspects, the kind of mentoring that happens, the kind of conversations, the readiness, the kind of interviews, the mocks, the kind of orientations towards the kind of roles you would want. A lot of that is focused on a great deal. And of course, all that leads to what is a happy final outcome. So I just wanted to quickly highlight these particular figures here. And at the same time, possibly something that may be of interest to the audience here today is the kind of recruiters that have come along to us. The kind of recruiters that have come are ranging from Abbott, Google, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Tech Mahindra, Piramal, Vedanta, the works. These are obviously organizations which everybody thinks about, everybody looks at as being one of the primary drivers for them to start their careers. And these are all recruiters who have put trust into IMT Ghaziabad and its students. But let me keep telling you that irrespective of the kind of sectors that come to us. So the BFSI, consulting, the internet business, FMCG, consumer goods, logistics and supply chain, automobile, all these sectors have representation as far as the recruiters are concerned. More than 30% of the recruiters are first-time recruiters in our case. So what that means is that we ensure that as things progress, as the industry and as the sectors show a lot of dynamicity, we are also catering to their expectations as we go forward. And our students, go out there and do a great job going forward. So this is what I quickly wanted to highlight, Dr. Virdi.
Thank you so much, sir. So since I'm just looking at the time, there's a paucity of time. So I'll quickly come to the question that since it's the admission cycle and we're looking, the entire process is for admissions, what kind of students is IMT looking at? Who are the future IMTians? If you can shed a light on that.
Well, I think we are looking at varied profiles. We're looking at people with, of course, what you have to remember here is that, IMT Ghaziabad does select from a very competitive and large pool of applications. But there is no cookie cutter approach to this whole thing, right? What you have to remember here is that we want students, obviously, who have good communication skills, who have critical thinking capabilities, and we evaluate that as well. Strong academic background, business acumen, the willingness to learn, the leadership orientation, which Ms. Verma was speaking about. I think it's very important because I think that then determines your ability to create and do some magic once you leave the institution, like IMT Ghaziabad. I think a lot of those things become fundamentally important. Socially sensitive. Look, I think this is very important. Yes, we would love to do the right kind of roles and get the right kind of packages and salaries. But I think we also need to understand, whether the student that we're admitting into our systems has a certain orientation towards society. Because fundamentally speaking, most of the people, who possibly are, wanting to do the MBAs and, at premier institutions, a lot of them are being able to avail certain opportunities, are being able to be in the right place at the right time with the right kind of learning, the right kind of facilitation, the right kind of environment. But I think, this kind of opportunity is something that you should then capitalize on to help the wider society. I think those are elements that we would really want to consider. And of course, we'll have Professor Bernali here, who's chairperson of the admissions committee, who will be talking in greater detail about how we're looking at admissions this particular year, this particular session, and she'll be getting into more details of how we look at profile, how we consider profile, how we look at work experience, how we look at exceptional aptitude or even academic background. So thank you. This is essentially what I quickly wanted to say.
Thank you so much, sir. So I'll just ask Professor Bernardi that there have been changes in the admission process and the criteria. What is it? What is profile-based admission?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Dr. Preeti. Professor Talvar has explained it very well. The criteria, the quality that we look for in a candidate, in a student. Because we have got a huge pool of applications, as Professor Talvar has also mentioned already. So, we have very limited seats. So we are very, very selective in our criteria. We see to it that we have candidates who can bring something different to our campus. If, for example, we have Ms. Gayatri with us. So these are the kind of students, graduates that we have who actually go to the industry and then they create a different place for themselves as well as for their alma mater in the industry. So we are very selective. So basically, we have as Professor Talvar was mentioning about exceptional profile. So in fact, in IMT Ghaziabad, everyone is exceptional. Say we have a very high CAT score. So a student who gets shortlisted to IMT Ghaziabad is an exceptional student because he or she has already got shortlisted. And then the person has to face the panel. And the panels are, there are expert panelists who are there as a part of panel. They will talk to you, interact with you, find out whether you are a good leader or you have the qualities to become a good leader, or that you will be a great team player. What will you give to not only your institute, but as well as to the organization where you join? And what will you give? How will you contribute to the society? Right. So all these criteria are there. You have to have a good analytical skill. You should be good in communication. You have to be well versed with the current affairs, business affairs, etc. What is happening, in different companies, right? All those things. I mean, of course, these are very common that everyone will like to do. So you, as a candidate, will have to be prepared for that. So these are normal test score candidates. But then, as our director was mentioning about exceptional profile. So exceptional profile, what is this exceptional? So exceptional means that we have our own criteria, where we have, say if I talk of exceptional work experience, then there are certain companies that are there in our list. The list that we have created after a lot of research, and those are our internal list. For example, the companies have to be listed in BSE, or the companies have to be one in Fortune 500. So those kind of companies, if you've worked in these companies for at least 2 years, then your work experience will be shortlisted for exceptional work experience. Like you'll be shortlisted for interview. But then again, shortlisting does not mean that you will get into IMT Ghaziabad, because ultimately you will have to face the panel. You have to show that you are exceptional. Yes, we are relaxing the cutoff percentile for this exceptional work experience and exceptional profile by say 4 to 5%. But then if you are shortlisted, you have to face the panels. You have to prove to the panel that you are truly exceptional, because you will be different in IMT Ghaziabad in the sense you have some uniqueness in you. We are also looking for diversity. We are looking for, if you have some exceptional work experience, if you are bringing that kind of diversity in classroom, then the classroom discussion will be very interesting. Something new. This is exactly what we are looking for. And please remember that if you are shortlisted as a part of this exceptional profile or exceptional work, there will be candidates who will also meet the cutoff, as well as, they also are from one of those Fortune 500 companies or BSE listed companies. So you're actually competing with them. So once you're competing with them, you have to demonstrate that you have some exceptional qualities. You have the spark in you. You can prove that in future you will contribute something to the society, to your organization. You will carry a very good name. You will be a torch bearer of IMT Ghaziabad. So if you can prove it that way, then you are welcome to join. We have a few very limited things for those exceptional profile based candidates. And we also, we have our own list, where we have done a lot of we have our own internal system of checks, and based on that, we have created our list of exceptional colleges. So based on that, if you are a part of those colleges, then you will definitely get a relaxation of 4 to 5% in your cutoff, and then you will come and face the interview. But then again, you have to prove that you are different. And again, I want to remind all the aspirants is that if you think you are a part of XYZ college and you are considered as exceptional, please remember there will be also candidates who will be meeting the high test cutoff, and also they may be a part of those colleges. So you are actually competing with them. You have to be very careful. Your exceptional profile means that you are just shortlisted, but that does not indicate that you are selected, because the experts will be there in the panel. You have to talk to them, communicate. You have to tell them how you are different and unique. That is what I wanted to add. And if Professor Talvar wants to throw some light on it, Sir, if you want to add on something, please.
I think that is very elaborate. Thank you so much. Strongly encourage people to take this opportunity, and what Professor Barnali gave you is very good guidance to how you should view yourself as well as your application to IMT Ghaziabad.
Right. Thank you, Professor Barnali. Thank you, sir. So just because we're at the fag end of the session, I just want all of you to give suggestions to the aspiring candidates, something what they should do to get into IMT Ghaziabad, join the cream of the cream.
Okay. Maybe Ms. Verma, if you would like to quickly give a few pointers.
I would just say walk in with an open mind and learn and embrace. To me, like I said, there's so much knowledge out there, you will not know everything. So being open and at the same time being humble is equally important. So acknowledging where you're off and don't know and seeking that help, I'd probably say some of these come to my mind.
Right. Great, great. Professor Barnali?
Sir, there are one or two questions on
Okay.
chat box. Maybe these are very relevant. Maybe I can handle those questions.
Sure, please go ahead.
One is how to prepare for critical test. That is one question. And the second question that someone has asked is, can you upload your GMAT score till 28th February? Yes, you can upload your GMAT score till 28th February. You can still apply and appear for interviews. But then if your score meets our cutoff, then you will be a part of IMT group. That is one thing. And the second thing is how to prepare for critical test. Critical test is something new that we have started this year only. We did not have till the last year. So here, what we'll do is we'll give you a situation. And there are three parameters of evaluation for critical test. One is analytical thinking, another is innovation and creativity, and third is written communication. So you will be given a situation, you may write in favor of the situation, you may write against the situation, or you may write like you will have to write ultimately how would I have handled such a situation. Something like that. To give an example, for example, if you are asked to fire one of your team members, how will you react? So just a simple example, indication I've given you. So you have to now write, how you would have reacted, or do you like it? How will you take it from the management? Will you accept what the management says? So you have to think analytically, think creatively. Here you have to prove that you're different, you will handle the situation with lots of maturity, right? And logical, rational thinking, etc. So this is basically critical test. So you'll be given half an hour to write critical test, and this will be evaluated by the panelist, and the panelist may ask you questions based on critical thinking test.
So thank you for that, Professor Barnali. So over to you for the aspiring candidates.
So, are there any other questions, Professor Barnali, in the chat box, or
No, sir, I don't see any other question. These are the two questions that I saw were there posted on live YouTube.
Yeah. Perfect. And anything, Pranjali, Apurva, are there any questions that have possibly come to you?
No, sir. As of now, there are a lot of admission queries itself.
Admission queries. Perfect. Great. So I would imagine, yes, I think this is the time when,
Also, sir, I have read some of the comments, and yes, the students are very glad that they attended this session because they really are very happy to hear from you and our guest speaker, Gayatri Verma, ma'am. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think it's a pleasure to talk to students. We are fundamentally academics. Somebody's holding the role of admissions head, somebody's holding the role of director. It doesn't really matter. Fundamentally speaking, we are all academics, and our main reason for our existence is to help students achieve what they would like to achieve. So thanks so much for listening. And I think it's important for us to go in there with a free mind, apply. The management degree or the management diploma or the MBA, as we know it, is the quintessential interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary program, right? So that's a program where you learn technology, you learn Excel, you learn marketing, you learn finance, you learn how do you handle people yourself, right? So what is this? This is essentially being interdisciplinary, and that's something that even the new education policy talks about. How do you make institutions interdisciplinary? And the MBA essentially is the quintessential interdisciplinary kind of a program that enables careers to happen, to growth to happen in a way, right? So I think go in with a free mind, apply, and then take it forward. And I think Professor Barnali wants to quickly have a chat.
Yes, sir. Actually, there are one or two questions on YouTube, and I thought I should take these questions.
Sure, please go ahead.
That is, for example, there's a question which says that Tiger Global is not there, Parley is not there, but because they are not listed on BSc, but XYZ company is there. So I would like to say that, as we said, that we have done a lot of internal checks, etc. And based on our ranking, we have the criteria that the companies that are there on BSc, or if it is a Fortune 500 company, only that company will be considered under exceptional category. So in case you feel that your company is listed in BSc, but it's still not considered under exceptional, please get in touch with us. We'll definitely include you. But we have our own criteria, and the criteria is we have done a lot of research, and based on a lot of internal research and ranking, we have created the list.
Great, thank you. That's a good point to highlight, because I think this is all around shortlisting. Thereafter, obviously, it is your mettle, is your ability to convince, your ability to show promise that will finally matter. But all the best. I think I want to quickly, and something that I also once again saw on the YouTube link was this idea of diversity. Look, fundamentally speaking, we would like to be able to appeal to both, male and female candidates. It's really important. We've realized through our data analysis, we've realized through what we see as far as placement outcomes are concerned, what our students, both male and female, have gone on to do, in lives. And we would strongly encourage both male and the female candidates there to apply to IMT Ghaziabad. So thank you so much. Over to you, Professor Preeti.
Thank you so much for such insightful sessions. I'm very sure the students, the aspirants would have learned a lot, and they will apply to IMT Ghaziabad, and they'll get in, and we'll have a greater pool of diverse and intellectual, exceptional students for the coming batch. And with that, and since we are 5 minutes overboard, so I thank everybody, and all the best to the aspirants.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being part. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Preeti. Thank you, my co-panelists and everyone, all the aspirants.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.